Yeah, that's fine. It's not urgent.
Yes, when do you have a second? Sorry? When would you have a second song? Like, you
Not really today.
okay, we'll see. All right.
I mean, not like memorize. If I can read it, by the way, if I can read it. Yeah, I never hear. That's what I got. Yeah. That's what I got.
Yes, I got it. The document for the interview that you sent out was actually for 10 days. So what they have printed out for the group interview? Yeah. There's only one group interview. Oh, there's Korean version and then there's 2010.
Okay. This for the role play interview? Yeah. I could look into that. Okay. Give it one play. Great. Okay, my man.
Welcome home.
Thank you. How is everything?
It's good. It's really good. She's good. She's at my house right now. She's studying for boards.
That's fine.
Thank you for asking. Have you read a second interview yet? Just the first
I
one?
read through.
Good. Awesome. Awesome.
Is that was not good?
No.
I thought you said no, I can't use it.
No, I said no, it's not mine. Yeah, I don't even have that problem.
I was like, what? That was rude.
I'm sorry. No, it's as I explained it to school, obviously,
Yeah, but maybe.
If you guys are in the back, do me a favor. We're gonna keep that table completely open for me and the PSM. So why don't you guys come up? Same thing. Just move up towards the general session, please. It's good to have you back.
It's nice to be back. It's my home. I'm not going here.
Gavin,
I'm at like 10.
why don't you role play with Allie?
Okay. There we go.
Why don't you role play? All right. Franco, you can start role play. Whoever comes in next, you can role play with them. So let you guys do role play. Allie.
Yeah, you know, my name's Gavin, but still,
I'm going to spend about an hour explaining the position of getting an idea about what the group is. Once it's finished, I'm going to have each of you answer a few more questions. And at the end, I'll be able to meet you one-on-one to let you know whether or not each
or defending the last city on earth, you choose the soundtrack. As well as background listening on PS4, everyone can enjoy on-demand music using the Spotify tablet, all without pausing your game. Ready to play? Download the app directly to your PS3 or PS4.
I think that's better
That's fine. As long as y'all do the same.
Come up with Luke to say goodbye.
Very started with this job. Very honesty, I'll take it off. With our first so what exactly happens with the what do you think of let me start with this. What happens if price?
Brother Charles, he's got it. Does he call you Brother Charles?
You call him Brother Luke?
Like, we didn't plan it at all.
Yeah.
No, that's the best part about it. Charles, why don't you role play jazz?
Yeah.
For those of you that are logging in, please put on to the AGL WhatsApp that you were on watching the broadcast. And of course, friendly reminder ahead of time that your debrief will be due no later than Wednesday. And there are two of you who spoke to me well in advance. And well in advance is well over a week about some important things that were this weekend. He gave me ample notice, not like the day before, 2 days before, like some people do. That's the most unprofessional way to do it, by the way. If it's that important, you don't wait till a day or two before. Okay, but if that's you, Sonny Mar, there's like 3 of you in that situation. Make sure you send your debrief still no later than Wednesday, okay? Let's continue.
Alright, so we work on a short-term basis, but they don't have any experience. Just set this down.
What's up? Come on Musabe, where are your notes? Where are your notes? Okay. What are you doing? Your computer charger?
You don't have a laptop? Why do you think this is going to be a lot? That's why we have a Do you get it?
I just got it. Thank you.
Hey, as you're role playing, the other person, make sure you have the agenda out and the handouts ready to rock and roll ahead of time. Okay. And this should be all ahead. If you're just doing it now, you're not doing it ahead of time. You got to come prepared to the meeting. I guess we're doing construction today. Okay. So be it. We'll do it. So we'll start in 1 minute. And if you could please get off the Wi-Fi so we make sure the broadcast doesn't get delayed or knocked off. Thank you.
I feel like the woman in your eyes tonight, and you made me feel like cause I fight for you, give my life for you, when I got you by my side. Cause my baby can't away when it comes to you and I. Even if we break, even if we fall, baby, I know we can't have it all. If they knock us down, like a wrecking ball, we'll get up and walk right through these walls. Yeah, cause we are invincible, invincible. We are
All right. 1 minute countdown. Get yourself right. Get yourself situated. You can stop role playing. Get everything ready to rock and roll. Next level lead. And Charles, that pizza better be good.
Sorry.
Where did you go?
Well, Blaze pizza.
Is that right there?
It's basically it's like Carapas. Yeah.
Can we do it? There's no third row. Welcome to all virtuals in Puerto Rico. Eventually, the University of North Carolina, Missouri, Washington, D.C., and Tallahassee. All right. So we're off Wi-Fi, ready to roll? What's really interesting, this will blow your mind. First of all, you're going to continue to hear that. So we're gonna, if we can get past the church, no, if we can get past the church, that's nothing. Okay. This will blow your mind. The AGL class is actually triple the size of this room. It's just that we have a third of the class that goes to school out of area and a third lives in Puerto Rico. So I want you to virtually imagine this room hotter, more comfortable, more people, more energy, but it won't stop us from doing anything positive. Nor will the construction, nor will the Lord Jesus Christ rising. You got it? Whether you believe that or not, I do. So, okay. Adversity willingly undergone is the greatest virtue, and we will set the tone, start prep that way, as we will most of our preps, and we'll start off on a high and a positive. If you're virtually on board with us right now, then go ahead and post this on the AGL page, everyone. What's hot, what I appreciate in 10 seconds or less, so please don't be long-winded. Every second over 10 seconds, we subtract 5 points from your matrix. What's hot, what do you appreciate? We'll start with Antoine.
I appreciate being on time. Definitely the best looking group I've been with.
Hey.
Okay, there you go.
I like that.
Yeah. Please stop making fun of me. Eli.
What's happening? It's where everyone's here. It is huge, and what's appreciated being here.
Miss Erica.
What's hot is Miami weather, unlike the 66 degree weather in Tallahassee. And what I appreciate is your lovely faces and amazing AGL session.
Really, really awesome next level session. So, Ms. Corminas.
What's hot is being back in the FC in the home, and what I appreciate is getting to have you train me again.
There you go. It's like old times. Old times. That's like coming home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Who's Vay?
What's hot with the IMG vision feeler away from that place setting? That's, I don't know, in my mind I was like, hey, place setting.
There you go.
Like that.
Good.
What I appreciate is just the camaraderie of these people and just how on point everybody is.
Yeah, and a dedicated group and camaraderie is awesome. I'm a big team player, so good. Franco.
What's hot for me is the first thing, because I was talking to Antoine about this Napoleon. It's just on my mind, really. I was eating pizza and I'm just thinking Italian food. I just somehow started.
Did you say you were thinking of Italian food because you're eating pizza and then you thought of Olean? Well, maybe it makes perfect sense.
And then I somehow worked.
Makes sense. Perfect.
It's made its way.
Yeah, what do you appreciate?
And what I appreciate is just the amount that we learn and what we take away from these meetings. It's like no other meeting really.
Good.
I would say.
I would agree. Daniel.
What's hot is the NLG session we had before this was fire. Loved all the information that was there. And what I appreciate is being around the campfire, so to say. Being in a place where you're going to be re-energized, refocused. And for those of you that are going 52 stage, this is the place to be. And that's half of the job is being here. The second half is absorbing all the information and leaving with an action.
Yeah, we're gonna reference situation leadership. Thank you. We'll go Jasmine, and we'll end with Charles.
What's hot is everyone here looks super fantastic, fashionable. What I appreciate is Michael Musabe for taking me to the
There you go. Vector people help Vector people get to other Vector places. I like it. Mr. Mullins.
What's hot is almost saved up enough for a car.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Almost mobile Mullins.
Yeah.
All right.
And what I appreciate is all the money I'll make with that car.
There you go. Yes. Those knives. Yeah.
What's hot? Just piggybacking off Frank, only just gets closer and closer to him. Super excited. And what I appreciate is the level of growth that this entire group will get. Vector 18, 19, 20, 18.
I would argue in this room, and in the virtual Puerto Rico, and in the virtual randoms, we'll call it. There is more growth, intentional growth, desired growth, growing towards growth, right? Within those three arenas, live here, virtual random, and virtual Puerto Rico, than some universities combined, I believe, especially here on a Saturday. Most cells are being destroyed right now. It's 2 o'clock, it's first quarter. Yeah, brain cells are being destroyed right now across universities all across the U.S. And we're developing and growing, so that's a true statement. Good. We'll go. Thank you. RJ, how do you appreciate 10 seconds?
What's hot is that it's the second month of prep, and it's cool because I remember first coming here, I thought 30 was impossible, and I was like, oh, AGL is impossible, but I'm here on the second month of prep and still be here.
Wait till branch. Wait till branch.
What I appreciate is everyone here. It's cool to see Luke and Ali back and everyone that I have seen since summer. So just cool to be together as pretty much a family. So it's people, everyone motivating everyone. So.
And if you like this feeling of reunion, if you will, wait till Olean. Because well, here's the funny thing. It's a reunion like that, but everyone's there, and the Puerto Ricans you've never met. Yeah. It's like a long lost pen pal or cousin. You're like, I know you as well, you know. So Puerto Rico, me encanta la isla. We'll go, Luke.
Being back with family, the reunion, like you said, what I appreciate is you and your teaching and being back here. Not that North Florida wasn't good. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, North Florida is awesome. And if you get a chance to learn from other places, you should take the best from that and put into your program. It's awesome. I love, and then of course, without fail, Matt, he was raving about your FC crew up here. It's just awesome to have them. They bring a great energy. They're very professional and so forth, as expected from Daddy, if you will. Gavin, speaking of Daddy, Gavin.
On that note, what's hot is I love the energy in this office. It's great. And what I appreciate is everybody here. It's like we're all in our various valleys and mountaintops, but we're all here for each other to keep ourselves motivated and keep us on task and focus.
That's right. That's right. For many of you, we have mentors. Many of you have mentees, both. Vitor.
What's hot, at least for me, my family just came here to visit from Brazil.
Good.
So my parents are here. And I really appreciate that. And another thing, what I appreciate is definitely all the work in Miami. I get to go there every Friday and spend the entire day there doing all types of different activities.
Learn a ton.
Yeah, and Karina is amazing. She's been like almost one-to-one, like helping me grow, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Karina is awesome. She comes indirectly. She's like your long lost Cutco aunt. In a way, because you come from here and she's the PSM, all that. And of course, you can read on the WhatsApp. I would just throw this out there. I trust that when you're on the phone, no one's being disrespectful, face chatting and insta snapping and all that. And I also trust that you're not away from the meeting but engaged. So if you're on your phone, I'm going to assume you're WhatsApping, checking, whatever it might be. So Naya has hers. Armani from Bayamon has his. Charles, wrap us up. No pressure. If this is wrong, we cancel prep. Go.
Yes. What's hot is your stylistic approach to coming to prep. It's like you. Jessica, you play good. Thanks. I appreciate.
Ready? Wait till next prep.
I appreciate Ali taking Luke and myself to prep. Thank you so much.
Good. I have a couple of thoughts I want to share. You could humor me, and I want to start with this. This is a lot of this is repeat. Anyone know the concept of repetition when it comes to teaching, and why it's important, the value of it, and why there is constant repetition? We'll go, Daniel.
Internalization of information.
Okay, so internalization, what does that mean? Meaning what?
Well, by repetition, you learn the information. You know why you're saying what you're saying, as opposed to just memorizing it.
So if you want to internalize versus just memorize, you can memorize a speech and still not know it. We're my fraternity sorority brethren and sister-in, right? I know I'm not doing it justice when I say it this way, but from my understanding, there's certain things. If you want to get into this house, you have to know the history of this house and the people of this house and the founders of this house and who's your brother of this house. And when you recite it, you can memorize it, but then when you're on the spot and you're in front of everyone to make you stand up at a meeting and do it, it's not as easy to do it because you really have it memorized, not what? Internalized. When you have it internalized, it's like, oh, I can get up in front of the meeting, I can do it on the spot, I can do it at 2 in the morning when you call me and say, hey, say this now, and you say it, no problem, because I have it internalized. How do you internalize versus memorize? NLG, you should know this really well. There's 2 ways to internalize anything. I would encourage you to take notes on this. If you want to internalize versus memorize, number 1, you have to know, the whys and objectives. You were saying?
Fire, shoot, aim.
Part of it too you have to do, right? You have to know the whys. You have to know the whys of the interview. If you just get the script and memorize it, you don't know how to run an interview. Even if you know every single word, which is part of the battle, you don't know the interview. You don't know why you're saying that. You don't know why you start with what you do. You don't know why we have a pre-screen, why we have a post. You don't know why at the very end of the post, Allie's run her 3rd interview already. You don't know why you say, well, unfortunately, we can't work with everyone. You don't know why you say that to then say, but here's why we like you. Next level group, then you say, and the reason I think you'll do great with Vector is from our session earlier. Okay? Whys? Anyone know the second thing? Repetition. This is why we do at every prep what? Role play, role play, role play. My prep, Monday, my preps are the monthly. I teach, and you role play every week. I teach, role play every single week. Remember your 3 days of Cutco training? Okay? Allie, this is called the junk knife page. The objective of this page is to create a problem. So later we can offer a solution. That's the why. So let's practice it over and over and over. Yes? No? Okay. Change is hard in the beginning, and it is still the beginning. I'll say this again. Change is hard in the beginning. We are still in the beginning of AGL. It's messy in the middle, and it's really messy. Some of you have started to go into the middle. It's called going from D1 to D2 to D3. So if you're going from D1 to D2, it's hard right now. If it's D2 to D3, it's messy. But I promise you, it is gorgeous at the end, a la my second cousin, Robin Sharma. He's not my cousin, he's Indian. Okay. Yeah. Be flexible and engaged. Today, I need you to be flexible, meaning be flexible with your common thought. Be flexible. If you're going through a challenge or issue right now, be flexible around it. Notice that doing this, you have to be flexible, but you also have to be flexible in life. It's really important. And be engaged, my good friend Jed Roman says, and I hope that really sets the tone for today's meeting. What do you appreciate? What do I appreciate? I appreciate young people wanting to get better. I appreciate why I do what I do, and it's not for the knives. It's certainly not for running an office. That's not why I do what I do. I do what I do because I enjoy influencing the youth. I enjoy significance. I'll share this with you 1 week from, no, less than a week. Wow. In less than a week, I am speaking at our national conference. It's an honor. It's a big deal. This is not my what do you call it? This is not my self-gloat. Yeah, this is not gloating. This is just telling you I'm excited to represent our FC team. And yeah, I'm the only one speaking on behalf of FC, which I'm really proud of. And part of my message is knowing why you're doing what you're doing. And I think you have to appreciate that. And I put down, and the question was, why am I a division manager? And I put down, it's got high executive level leadership abilities with low on the boots, very humble opportunities to lead. Meaning, I play an executive role in the company, but I'm not so high up executively that I can't impact the field. Young people. Gives me a chance to be flexible and do what I want to do. Gives me a chance to preach how I believe that life should be lived to young people via a business model. I'll say it again. This gives me an opportunity to preach and create followers to live a life that I believe the way life should be lived through a business model. Some people choose a church model. Some people choose you fill in the blank model. This is my version of influence. So I appreciate all of you, hungry students, ambassadors of Jeff, ambassadors of fill in the AGL motto, cool funky phrase, and things that Jeff always says like,
I like that.
Yes. Our mission is your M3PG experience. So why are you here on a Saturday? Because I am trying to get my M3PG experience. Why are you missing on family? Fill in the blank. Why are you missing the fill in the game? Why are you missing the fill in anything? Because here you have to do what others want to get this experience. Part of it too, loving this. Part of it too is the 4 anchors and making sure that when you say why we do what we do, it's to create the M3PG experience. But how we do it are the anchors. Okay? And that's really it. And when you get down to it, why you're doing what you're doing is not to go in on a blank day and run a Cutco interview for a knife job. That's not why you do it. If you do it for that, we're in trouble. You have a sad, sad life. Okay? You do it because you want a really awesome experience that will leverage you in the future or here for multiple years. But how you do it is based on this. On being a professional. Always focused on growing the team. Stepping up when it's time to sell, which is why we're going to cover everyone's sales report for the push. Good, bad, and or ugly. But it's the response that's important. And of course, aggressive pursuit of growth. So I apologize I didn't change this one. Welcome to AGL Part 2. Why AGL School? I'm going to ask you again. We did this at the first prep. Why AGL School? Why put yourself through this? You already have enough school as it is. Am I right? Some of you are taking some really hard classes and you have school. Why AGL School? Luce, why are you going through AGL School?
Just to give me, like you said, leverage on the future.
Okay.
Just giving me more opportunities.
Good. Short and sweet. Antoine, why go through AGL School?
Just picking back off of the 4 anchors, just aggressive pursuit of growth.
Yeah, you always want to be aggressively pursuing growth. Anyone can pursue growth. Just show up to class because half your class doesn't. All right? Anyone can pursue growth. Just show up to class. That's half the battle. Literally, it's half the battle because half people attend classes, apparently. I read that somewhere.
Wow.
Between a third and a half miss class. A state university, by the way. Okay. No, I don't know what it's like. I guess it depends on the Florida State. Can you vouch for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are blank amount of people change majors within the first semester. Blank amount of people don't make it past first year. I mean, you fill in the stats. Why AGL School? Vitor, why are you here?
To get ahead.
Get ahead. Why are you here again?
Studying law school for free.
What's that?
Law school.
Law school for free. There's an end in mind. Cool. Why are you here?
To get the best experience possible and get a step ahead of the rest of my generation.
Be ahead of the generation and so forth and so forth. AGL School also has these awesome life lessons that we're going to teach you. Today we start money management. Someone said to me, and you hear this often, well, money's not the most important thing. You're right, but you need money to do a lot of things.
Everything.
Okay, not everything, but a lot of things. You want to make a difference? You usually need a lot of money to make a difference. But I'm here about the people. I don't do it for the money. In some way, you need to do it for some money because then you can't help people if you can't help yourself because you're broke. See what I did there? Yeah. It's really important. If you're not financially fit, you're stressed, then you can't help people. But I just don't do it for the money. It's just for people. Really? Then give me your money. Give me all your money. Whoa. Exactly. Whoa. Okay? And I can tell you, and you know me, this is not a money-driven company. This is certainly not a money-driven division. But money is important. And knowing about money. And there are different types. This is through Oberg. There are people where in family, you're not allowed to talk about money. A third of you come from that background. That's okay. Right? A third of you come from a background where it is hush, it is taboo. Adults talk. Erica, do not talk about money. That is an adult conversation. Then there are the polar opposites where I would imagine, Luke, money's like, all right, well, this is how money works. This is when it's bad. This is when it's good because his dad's in the financial field. I would imagine it's very easy to talk about money in that family. And then the third of you are somewhere in between. Here, in this family, we talk about money. Why? Because I want you to be comfortable with money. I want you to understand money. And most of you, until my first Cutco, my second AGL year, I didn't understand money. I learned from Cutco how to increase my credit score through Cutco, not school. I learned how to get an 800 credit plus score at some point in my life, depending on my time in my life. I learned how to balance a checkbook. I learned how to put $3,000 or $2,000+ my first summer into a Roth IRA that has now built up several thousands of dollars worth of interest and retirement building and growth and rule of 72s and stuff that you'll learn at some point. You'll learn all through the school of Cutco. And you know what's cool? We're going to teach it to you. So my parents didn't teach me money is never an excuse. Well, my mom didn't teach me. So that's fine. I'm going to teach you. My dad didn't teach me. Okay, fine. I'm going to teach you. That's just not an excuse in life. It's like my mom and dad didn't teach me rules. Sorry. You still go to jail when you break them. But my mom didn't. The judge, oh, your mom didn't teach you that? Oh, well, then you didn't know it was illegal. Honey, you're okay. Get out of here. Wrong. We're going to teach you time management. That's why when Erica says, let me see your planner, and whoever doesn't have it in use, that's why it's going to go against you here. Because here the culture is we use planners. It's not a penalty of making you feel bad and, oh, you don't have the score, bad for you. No, it's because here planning our time is cool. Here we own our time. Here, when you're 19, 20, you can do things like AGL school, and sports, and school, and pledge, and fill in all the 3 or 4 extracurricular activities. Ask Andrew Evans, who does, I think, 9 things new every day. It's like joining new clubs. And Andrew, when you're watching, it's like I can't even fathom all the things you do. But he keeps doing more and more and more. Why? Because in AGL, that's what we do. Because in AGL, we get fit. Today, we're going to unleash. I'm just so excited to launch my brother's program for you. Some of you are closer because you're clients, so to speak. Well, you are, so to speak. You are clients of my brother. I'm a client, and it's just so awesome to be able to share this, and I believe life-changing attitude towards food and fitness. This isn't a my brother calls it a bromance program. This isn't about protein shakes and bro tanks and going to the gym and getting swole, yo. That's not what this is about. This is not about the bikini workout and the beach body workout. This is about a sustainable lifestyle that brings you the optimal energy. That's why the program's called Optimal Performance Program. Notice it didn't say fitness program, didn't say look good program, didn't say get in shape program. It's optimal performance, because the optimal performers have energy. And when you have energy, and you're optimally performing, yeah? How do you feel? Confidence low or high? And when your confidence is high, you attract a lot of people. When you attract a lot of people, you can recruit a lot of people. When you recruit a lot of people here, that's the business, because recruiting is always the answer. Okay, so think food for thought. Here, we teach how to dress professionally. True story. Yesterday, I went to, I had a private, I said this next level, I had a private suit session. Private tailor, a place called Suit Supply, Miami Beach. It's awesome. And the reason I picked Suit Supply, is because they have the same philosophy as Cutco. They take the best materials that are usually put into Italian-made suits. They don't sell it to retail stores, and they sell it directly from the factory. Ring a bell. Okay, so I'm with my tailor, the second one. I had the first one on Monday. His name is Miguel. He sizes me up. He says, where do you travel, sir? Do you travel a lot? Okay, do you need winter suit? Do you need a jacket for this? I said, this is the type of material that I want. He's like, hey, great, perfect. What do you do? In sales, you're consulting, you must travel a lot. I said, I'm in sales. I'm actually a sales trainer. That's the easiest way to explain it. For what company? What do you sell? You haven't happened to heard. You wouldn't have happened to heard of? No. You would happen to hear of. Sorry. Oh, sorry. English, not the first language. Okay. You wouldn't happen to have heard of the company that sells Cutco. Because, yeah, my cousin sold it last summer. He's out of Weston. He's Venezuelan. His name is Nicholas Ketchum. I think he's one of our reps. I don't remember. We had so many reps this summer. So his cousin sold. We went off. But it was really cool to say and sit there as he measured me, and we went through different things. And he said, yeah, so you must love fashion. Yeah, I teach it. In fact, I give a session. He said, oh, okay, make sure you tell him the new things. So just tell me all the new fads and fashion. I said, well, what would you say are some very staple business fashion lessons, right? I said, well, these are the things I teach my guys. And he goes, those are the things I would have told you. I'm like, that's awesome. That makes me feel good. It's something I'm very passionate about personally. And I think that's a cool outfit. Those things. So why AGL school? Because we want to bring out not the better version, but the absolute what? The best version, not the 2.0, but we always say this, the 3.0 version of you. Today we're going to unleash that optimal program. And I'm really excited for that. This is leaner, skinnier karate weight Chris. And then this is squat. This is squat the whole gym, ball of muscle Chris. Either one. Why AGL school? Because we're going to force one of the most important things you will learn in your time with Cutco, whether you're here for just a couple more summers or the rest of your life or somewhere in between, is focusing on these 3 beautiful red circles. Right? And that's what it's about, circles. Beautiful red circles. Don't write that down. Circles of what? Circles of influence. This is the thing I can teach you. I called a very close friend, colleague, dearest friend, and now division manager of my old division, my former colleague, Kate Arbuthnot, who I'll see next week. And we talked about preps, and Kayla Craw is now training with her. We talked about Kayla for a few minutes, and then she said, well, what's Kayla's feedback? And I said, well, Kayla says, wow, it's just like working with Jeff. Yeah, and she talks about circles of influence. And then I said, Kate, so how are preps nowadays? She goes, the way they were when you ran them. Same page. And so what are some of the things you talk about? She goes, we talk about you typically ship the CP of the people you talk to most. This is a quote that made every year from 2007 till 2010. This quote made every single slide. Why? Because circle of influence is so important. This summer, all the people that spoke to each other shipped the same amount. And the people that I kind of, like Andrew Evans, I told him don't talk to anyone. Who do I talk to then? I remember Andrew, you remember this. So who should I have in my circle of influence? Me. Who else? No one. And it panned out. It worked out pretty well. So keep in mind if you're the average of the 5 people you associate with the most, do you like that average? All right, let's do this exercise again. Ready? Write down the 5 people you talk to the most right now. And be honest with yourself. No one's reading this. You're not sharing. Who are the 5 people you speak to talk to the most? Cutco, in Cutco, out of Cutco, everything combined. Who are the 5 people you associate with / talk to / get influence from the most frequent? If it's hard to get the 5, that probably tells you something. If it's hard to narrow it down to 5, that probably tells you something. I'll say that again. If it's hard to get to even 5, it probably tells you something. If it's hard to narrow it down to 5, it probably tells you something. Who are the 5 people you speak to the most? And in your own way, however you would, if you average that person out, what would be like the 2 or 3 positives and 2 or 3 not so positives of that average person? I'll say it again. Write down 5 people that come to mind that you are influenced and talk to the most. If it's hard to get to 5, it says something. If it's hard to keep it down to 5, it probably says something. And if you are the average of those 5 people, what are the top 3 attributes of that average? You average those 5 people. These are the 3 things positive about the person you are. And then write down 3 not so positive if you're the average of those 5 people. 30 seconds. "30 seconds. You're the average of the 5 people you associate with the most. Who are the 5 people? Write them down that you associate with the most. If it's hard to get to 5, it probably tells you something. If it's hard to keep it to 5, it probably tells you something. If you believe that you're the average of those 5 people, who and what is that average? What are the top 3 characteristics and attributes of that average person? What are the top 3 not so positive, not so good qualities of that person? Change one of those 5, you change the average. Stop there. Takeaways, light bulbs. Just from that exercise. First time we've done it. Yes?
It's like magic. It's like really true.
It's like magic. It's really true. Franco Brody. but it really is magic. Not magic.
Can't believe it's fun.
Yeah, can't believe it's fun. Think about the 5 average meals you eat. What kind of meals do you eat? It's probably the same thing.
Chipotle.
Tell me more. What else? What is you taking from this? Did anyone have a hard time getting to 5? Okay. Did anyone have a hard time narrowing it down to 5? Okay. Did anyone, if you're being honest, wrote down something, you're like, I don't like that average in some way, shape, or form, maybe as a whole, maybe parts of it. But any parts of the average you didn't like? Who in that list is impacting that? Who could you add to the list that gets you a better characteristic? Who could you take off that list that could take away a negative characteristic? Takeaways, RJ.
As far as I've done this exercise now 3 times, the other preps and stuff like that, and so it's just like a light bulb that I guess I've come to realize that I have the same 5 people every time, and I notice the negatives every time. Not like complete negatives, but just not where I want to be. But I realize, it's really hard to, you got to give something up, but or exchange it.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that.
Yeah, ready? Pain either way. Either the pain of keeping the friends or the pain of losing the friends. Either way, you have pain. Right? No pain, no gain. The pain of regret, pain of change. Either way, you're gonna get pain. You're gonna pain the pain of, man, if I had changed, what would have happened? I wish I had. Or just the pain of changing. There's pain either way. Which one are you willing to tolerate? And ready? At what point do you deserve more than what you're giving yourself? I'll say it again. At what point do you deserve more than what you're giving or tolerating for yourself? Whether it's the people around you, the crap you're putting into your body when you eat, time you're spending, what you're doing, so forth and so forth and so forth, okay? AGL School, we put you around the ultimate team. This is last year's team and growing and getting better and better. Why AGL School? Because we want you to choose the hard route. We want you to choose the route that's harder. We want you to go against the grain, not against your parents. I want to be very careful. I didn't say this to your parents. Go against the grain of, well, why don't you just be like other college students? That's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of this. And all the great extracurricular activities that you guys are involved with, whether it's major related, extracurricular related, fraternity, sorority, sports, those are all awesome. But I want you to have something for yourself, not just on your resume, but for yourself that is completely different and separates you. That's why we have AGL School. Not to be the norm. Okay? Financially as well. Why AGL School? Because we're trying to offer you the ultimate experience of branching. And there are two objectives of branching. What? Get experience and profit potential. What does that mean? Ready to get experience of running a business, growing a business from scratch, being on your own, being independent, doing financially responsible things. All the things that AGL prepare you for. And profit potential. What does that mean, potential? Why not just profit? What does that mean, potential? You have to break even because there's also a chance you could what? Lose, break even, or profit. But that's what makes it a real life business. Because if you ran a branch office and there's no way you could lose money, it's not a real life experience. It's the same reason when mommy and daddy are paying the bills, it's not the same experience. Although, is it bad when mommy and daddy pay the bills? No, I did it for a long time. I was the only division manager living at home at one point in my career. I was the only division manager in the whole company that lived at home. I was also only 22 at the time. So, understandably so. But there came a point in time where I had to be on my own, hence the house. I want to talk to you about the ultimate experience. The ultimate experience is running a Cutco branch office for 4 summers. But there are 2 parts, and I want you to write this down. We're going to do this every single prep until you understand this. Part of this is so you can explain it to people who are trying to understand. Part of it is you can explain it to the most important person who needs to understand. Who's that? Mom. Sometimes mom. Sometimes your parents. Who's the most important person who needs to understand this? You. You yourself are sold. 30 to 90 days. That's part 1. Part 1, which is the business building aspect, is 30 to 90 days. And I put that because this is where you run a business. Oh, I'm sorry, if you're a first year, where you build from scratch a business. This is where you join this team, this FC, and I tried to pick this is 2010, I believe, or 11. I just try to pick the most random teams. This is where you're teaching. This is where you learn to run Cutco sales training. This is where you're at a team meeting. Then you're speaking to, in this case, like Karina as a branch manager. Take a look at Karina running her branch. Talking to the Fort Lauderdale pilot and the Hollywood Hustler office. 30 to 90 days of going to conferences, and you give the report for your office, and your office is cheering you. And Ali Corminas comes up on stage. My name is Ali Corminas. I'm the branch manager of the blank. Woo!
What are those?
Whatever they cheer. Okay? 30 to 90 days of recruiting in May through June to have a team and army at SC1 because all you're building towards is SC1. And I put down 30 to 90 days because it's a range. And it's a range on purpose. Why? Because I have to be conscious of this. 30 to 90 days. Okay? If you mess up the building of the office, it will only be 30 days. That means you'll have 1 month to build an office, and if you're going in a direction that's not going to create profit potential, we will stop the business aspect, and you go into part 2, which is the profit phase, where you're fully focused on making a profit from scratch. That's second part of your business resume experience. That's second part of branch. Then, the next 30 to 90 days is part 2, where you wear thongs and capes. FC red thongs and capes. Or you saddle up and lead your Army 300 or your Army 3. I'll say it again. You lead your Army 300 or your Army 3. Or your Army, how many? When it's time to sell with your team? 5?
Yeah.
Your Army
7.
5 or 7. Your Army 7. Yeah, about your Army.
5, 7.
Your Army 5 to 7. Doesn't matter. My Army 11 at the time. How many reps were there for you to go and sell? For you to saddle up and just sell Cutco in the suburbs of Virginia.
Hey, he's a good.
This is an actual picture from the Wall Street Journal where they profiled the branch manager opportunity in selling Cutco. The best the best summer job a college student can have to get experience in 2012, I believe. Wall Street Journal article. This is where you sit down with customers and you field train your reps. And instead of management on a group level, this is now where you're learning one-on-one management. The psychological aspect of working people comes into play, where you're helping people work through challenges. You're helping your Charles Stewart on your team who says, Jeff, I don't know if I can impress the division manager. I could never get into AGL school. You're like, damn it, Charles, you're going to do this. And you work with Charles one-on-one, and he gets into AGL school at SC3. That's one of the better, and you can argue which one's more exciting. They're both exciting. This is where you compete against other branch managers to sell. Right? This is where you're leading people to see their goals. And no matter how big your team, whether it's 5, whether it's 7 or 8, whether it's 11, then you've got 2 people like Gavin and Bryce who are from your branch office, Erica, who aspire to get into aggressive growth and leadership training. And here they are 2 months later in aggressive growth and leadership training. Really important part. Another big important thing, if you are funded and trained, you'll get an opportunity. Okay? There's no such thing as, sorry, you have all the money you need and you're trained, we can't find the territory for you. We'll find the territory somewhere up and down the East Coast. We already have the green light to put our best candidates in the best territories up and down the Eastern region. It can be as far north as DC Metro, Virginia, down through the Carolinas, Georgia, North Florida, Caribbean, and so forth. We had 3 examples of branch abroad. We had one example of branch abroad with immersion. And what's branch abroad? Branch abroad, Charles Stewart, branch abroad. Esteban Rec, branch abroad, and immersion. Different culture, different country. I don't know who's going to go where or when, but what I do know is we're going to have lots of FC up and down the East Coast. We're going to have lots of FC in Puerto Rico. We're going to have lots of FC in the Virgin Islands. We're going to have someone from La Isla come up and run an office and get better at their English in Florida while running a Cutco business. We're going to have someone from here who is somewhat proficient in Spanish. You have to be somewhat proficient in Spanish. He's going to go down and get more proficient and learn to run a business in a different country. Esteban Rec, one of the branch. He said, Jeff, but put me abroad. Why? So my dad runs international affairs for HP. And he says, if you want to run a business internationally, you better run your Cutco business internationally. It's the same thing. Guess what? He started a business from scratch in Caguas, Puerto Rico. Back for round 2. Speaking of which, there's also round 2 branches. I put down several round 2 AGL candidates who are looking to train to have a second summer experience. Why? Because the second summer is where it's at. First time branch, what are you doing? You're building a business from scratch. Why do people branch a second time? Yeah, here we go. To run and grow a business. There's a difference. Where my first year, I just branched people. Yeah, none of you ran a business. 0. Doesn't matter how well. Even Andrew Evans didn't really run and grow. He built the business, a really fast business from scratch. Next year, and Andrew and I have been talking every week about a 300+ K branch. That's growing. That's doubling his branch, more than double his. Actually running with people from the fill in the blanks of the world. Maybe after 1 year branch, you decide to join the Bridge program. The Bridge program is you sell Cutco, you go to AGL, you run a branch. After you run a branch, you ask yourself a question. In fact, I will ask you the question. Allie, you just ran your first branch abroad. Awesome. How was it? Cool. What did you learn? Okay, what did you hate? What did you love? How's this going to help your resume? How do we translate this into next year's AGL school? Okay, how do you get more from next year's AGL school? Final question. Did you like working with people or do you like working with yourself more? Did you like developing and being responsible for other people or do you like being responsible more so for yourself? Cool. Do you still find growth in this business? Do you still like being in Cutco? Do you still feel like we serve you as a great circle of influence? Awesome. I think you should not branch next year. I think you should sell Cutco full-time next summer. In fact, 90% of these guys have gone through AGL school and 75% of them run a branch. Okay? That's the track. Why AGL school? Because I've got a mission. I've got a feeling. And we have 25 offices. Why AGL school? Because a couple of you are aspiring for a career position. Okay? And I'm passionate about our district manager opportunity because I believe it's a career position. I believe for some people, sell like John Lennon, remember that analogy? I believe district is a vector MBA. I believe district is next level M3 PG. You're not a college student anymore, Gavin, but you still want to be around. And you got to pay more than just your own bills. You got to feed a human being.
Two.
Two, sorry. Well, in your case, two, yeah. Some of you want AGL because you want to join our district manager table. And you don't know it yet, but there are 3 to 5 of you, by statistics alone, that show there are 3 to 5 of you within 1 to 3 years will be having conversations with me and Scott Dennis about being a district manager for their company. You don't know it yet. I certainly did not know it. I said, yeah, whatever, Fred Glazier. I'm just here for my resume so I can get mine for med school. I want to make a lot of money, and I want to be the best med school candidate, and that's why I was like you. Law school, med school, med school, med school. But then I really, really loved it here. And I found ways for me to serve me to stay. I'm excited because next year we're going to be driving to 25 offices, and this is how it lays out next year. Whether it's one of the branch or district offices in Puerto Rico or the Virgin Islands, maybe it's one of the 3 to 4 to 5 branch opportunities here in Florida. Maybe it's an export regionally up and down the East Coast. Maybe you do what Charles did, and Charles said, Hefe, branch me. But branch me in somewhere completely different and obscure where it's hard as hell. Cool, you got it. Sumter, South Carolina. And you weren't here the last prep, but I told the story of Charles. Charles, how's it going? This is hard as hell, Hefe. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. He starts laughing. Not laughing like I'm delirious. I'm like so sad laughing. You know that one? Like not that laughing. Charles, how's it going? This is the hardest thing I've ever done. Why? The fight in the shade 300 laughing. The arrows are coming down. You're like, hey, I might die. Yeah. But I'm not. I said, how's it going? And silence. And I'm like, wait for it, because I know how we train Charles. Wait for it. And he goes, but this is awesome. This is what I signed up for. There's the Charles I know. That's an FC Charles. Okay? Maybe that's your light bulb. Culture strategy for lunch. Let me share with you a couple of slides from last time. And it's interesting because some of you went to North Florida and you got a chance to see their culture, their championship culture. And every team is different. Every family is different. But let me define our team and our family. Culture streets out a strategy for lunch. Our team is about growing and being infectious with it. Our team is the team that we go to an event, where we have this event, and there's someone who's too cool for school, we untoo cool for school. This is the event when we go to events and our people are there and our leaders, our management training, our AGL is at an event, at an Olean, and there are other people doing not so good anchor number 1 things. We disregard and we get all the right people on the bus. This is the team that is infectious to grow. And it's a cool thing to grow. This is the team that's self-aware. Not afraid to put the mirror up. This is the team that has an unbelievable next level program. An unbelievable group of people who've been through it before. You don't like that picture? I like that. Next level group.
That's what it's face. It's like top 10.
Next man or next woman up. I said that the last prep. Next man, next woman up. In the NFL, I use my beloved and not so good-looking Ravens right now. But when people get hurt, guess what? That's why you have 2 or 3 people at that position. Next man, next woman up. And you never know when you're going to step up. Ask Ricky. Ricky Balser's made a career of being next man up. Because he was the lower on the totem pole assistant manager to the prolific PSM in line who quit unprofessionally out of nowhere last second. And I went, I don't know. No one here's trained. Who do I like? I like Ricky. Ricky, you up for it? You're up. That's without doing it justice, that was the conversation. Hey, you don't know anything, but I like you. I'm willing to work with you. You down? I'm down. Here he is. Cheers later. Most prolific candidate in the region right now. Arguably. Right? There's a red book I'm really into. Do you know that?
What book is that?
I don't know. The culture in our division is A-player. It's such a strong culture that I'm being asked to speak at it about A-players at our national conference. I'm being asked to speak about A-players to our division manager team. It's so prolific that Matt King, who is kicking butt, and this is one of the things I love about Matt King. Matt King has no reason to talk to anyone else. He's that good right now. And he just got an hour call last week. He said, Jeff, I need to talk to you about how do you get this A-player thing going, because that's going to make moves. That's what I love about our division manager team. They want to get better, and A-players is where it's at. Our culture is that we understand the point and the fact that we provide a business experience faster than some of you grow up maturity-wise. I'll say it again. We provide a business opportunity and experience faster than some of you even grow up personally. For example, we're giving you a chance to run a business that starts from scratch with $9,000 in funding from the company to go to an obscure area, start an advertising marketing plan, start from scratch, ask for a 4-month lease out of nowhere, and turn profit by yourself at 18 or 19 before some of you can even legally train. That's what I mean by that. Or we're asking you to have conversations about people, putting people into the right perspective, to have a championship mindset before you yourself even have a serious, significant other relationship that's successful. How does that work? Well, we provide that faster than what you're experiencing. And that's the cool thing. And when you can catch that up and you can bridge that gap, you know what happens? You know what happens? What happens there? What happens when you're able to catch up your maturity to the experiences that you're getting faster here than normal people?
It's how your exponential growth.
You guys know who Ben Jackson is in our company? You become Ben Jackson. When you decide to say, let me grow up as quickly as I'm being thrown at. I'm being thrown a lot of fast things that are beyond my years, that accelerate, like things that are a maturity level 3 times ahead of me, responsibility level, ability level, financial level 3 to 4 times ahead of me. Everyone keeps telling me, just be a college kid, but this company is asking me to grow up. When you match the force to grow up, you move life fast. You run the show, so to speak. You run the show in your life. And when it comes down to, what, 3 or 4 years from now for most of you, when you have fork in the road, graduation, degree, what do? You're the one that's like, I don't know, what do I do, Jeff? Help me decipher. Versus, well, what do I do? Because I only have 2 choices. Or you can be the Ben Jackson giving the talk on how you had 9, 10, 15 interviews and you got to pick, and this is why you decided to stay with Vector. Because I had all these choices. That was the thing my dad always told me. He said, you know, you always want to have choices. I didn't have choices. That's his whole, I was your age. That whole story. Which I appreciate now, but back then I didn't. Okay? Just the power of 1 year. That's a big theme in our division. What happens 1 year from now? I have no interest in working with you. In fact, Ali, I love you, but I don't want to work with you. I want to work with a better version of you. I don't want to work with Vitor. I certainly don't want to work with the Vitor of today. I want to work with the Vitor of tomorrow, of next year. Erica Timmons, as much as I love speaking to you, and I really enjoy speaking to you on a weekly basis about your future, I'm more interested in the future Erica, not the current Erica. And when you're settling on the okay, now you, then all is lost, my friends. Don't settle for the now you. Focus on the 1 year later you, okay? Better version of you. The culture in our division is journaling and debriefing and taking time to intelligently reflect. If you are taking notes, it's intelligent reflection. That's the most important thing. When you leave this meeting, I would argue that those people that are taking this virtually, that are forced to, in order to show attendance, they're forced to write a debrief of the event and send it to me. I would argue they take more from the event watching it online than you do live if you don't debrief it. If you just come here, it's almost like, teach me, right? It's like taking your textbook and you put it under your bed. Organic chemistry. I feel it. No, you don't. You feel an F is what you feel. You gotta absorb it. You gotta absorb it. How to train. You gotta get your hands dirty. You gotta get in there. You can't, and this is for the UF crew. This is not how you train for branch. Training for branches and you show up to the office and let Jeff teach you. That's not how it works here. You go to Matt's office. You go to Garrett's office. That's it. That's not how it works. Training is, and I think Gavin's used this often, you get your hands dirty. You gotta get into an office. My favorite comment of the morning and afternoon so far is Vitor. Every Friday, I go and I spend the whole day in Karina's office and just learn one-on-one, and she spends time with me. He is right now getting the best branch training in FC. UF crew, you guys are getting some of the best branch training. Why? Because you're doing. How many interviews have you run? 3 interviews already. Some of you haven't even gone through the whole script once. Don't raise your hand, I already know. Trust me. And when we drill you, we'll know. Okay? The culture is understanding money and understanding how to look at numbers. The culture is analysis of this beautiful, precious art known as Vector Live. Right? Vector Live to Cutco is like your report card online to grades, if you will. And it's the best analogy I can use. Okay? Blackboard, is that what they call it? Okay. Shadowing. I just found the picture of shadows. Shadowing. Okay? They say that steel yields steel from earlier. He who sweats most during battle bleeds less in battle. So when you've already gone through it, when you're out there and you're on campus at UF and you say, hey, super random, where am I going with that, right? Hey, super random. I don't know if you guys are looking for when you've gone clipboard and someone says, no, it's a scam. And you've dealt with that at UF. When you're in Sumter, South Carolina, you're like, all right, whatever, that's just like UF, no big deal. Because I know what happens when you keep doing it. Versus if you've never done it before and you move to your branch territory and you're in Sumter, South Carolina, and you're like, hi, no! God, this might not work. You doubt. But when you're doing it, you don't doubt. Anyone who's come from the pilot office, who's from Fort Lauderdale? Who's from the Fort Lauderdale staff, specifically in the summer, right? Well, I don't know if the steroid things work. What the hell with that? We didn't have steroid PRs. We wouldn't have an Ali. We wouldn't have a Michael Mustabe. We wouldn't have an RJ. We wouldn't have half the. We wouldn't have a Vitor and an Elijah combo. There's no way we'd have half. We wouldn't have $560,000 in new business. Number 4 in the whole company for the summer. I just did the numbers. And number 6 office in the entire company new business for the whole year. If it weren't for the steroid program, it weren't for the just give us your whole damn phone book, Ali, program. But the sharp kids don't want to do it. She's pretty sharp. She did it. But they have to be here. She went away to Europe for a month. But they don't ever come back. She came back. All right, here we go. First girl, first, yeah, point made. Okay. I'm not going to go into the full analogy, but you remember this from the first prep where Dr. Oz and Joel Osteen, what they don't do is all the preparation. They spend all their time on doing the one most important thing. And for you, it's about focusing all of your efforts and training to this. To this. Focus 5. Okay. And I'll go back 1. These are the 5 most important things. When you go back to North Florida, it's the same thing. Here, it's always the same thing. Your efforts, your observation time, when you leave here each week and you're observing, it should be one of those 5 things. Specifically to these. We covered every single week at the prep. If you're doing something outside of this, like I'm going to give you an example. We had a rep. Actually, Jasmine, would you mind if I use you as an example? Okay. So Jasmine was here, and talk about moving your matrix score. She said, yeah, I'm going to move my matrix. She showed up with 2 PRs to save the day for training. Like she literally showed up the day before training and said, here are 2 people I recruited to be steroid PRs for you. They were in training, they launched, they helped us sell whatever we sold this week. Awesome job. Then on the 3rd day of training, Jasmine happened to be here already doing phone time. Were you doing phone time when you were here Saturday?
I was watching his training.
Okay.
Shadowing his training.
I got you. Perfect. So right now, that's a good use of our time. Why? Because it falls under the big 6 of training. Okay. But I'm going to go a step further. And that's the syllabus. The syllabus is going to give you, okay, from September to October, what should you focus on? From October to November. Now, if you had the syllabus, you wouldn't have watched training. Because the training for first year is nowhere in the cards until October, November. Okay, so keep in mind this. And training's going to feel like this at all times. Right? Your first interview, we don't even watch. Did Garrett watch your first interview? No, of course not. There's a reason why we don't watch your first interview. I can't even imagine Allie's. Right?
Did you smile?
No, I didn't smile.
And you're so awesome. But eventually it gets to this, okay? So I'm gonna end comments on this note. You got to make a statement. How do you make statements here? What's the tangible, objective way to make statements here? Through your matrix. Matrix takes away all feeling and what feels good and what you think. There's no thinking with the matrix. Your sales are your sales. Your pushes are your pushes. Your startup is your startup. Your drill for skill is your drill for skill. And the only thing you can get out of 25 points is 5 on the intangibles. So if I really, really like you, I can only well, Jeff's just hooking it up. I can't. I can only hook it up 5 out of 25 points. So like Charles, I love Charles. I'll give Charles a 5 on the intangibles. But I can't boost his other 20 just because I like him, because his sales are his sales, his startup is his startup. So speaking of startup, who remembers what's the deadline by October 1st? Okay, 500. Okay. Let me explain to you a concept that I think all of you should know right now. Okay, it's called In the Conversation, In the Convo, and of course our new theme, very important theme, is A player. If October 1st is the deadline for $500, what's the phrase I always tell you to think about? How do you really get on the radar? You go two LU, 2 levels up. 2 levels up is what? $1,000. Okay. Olean trip. Why is Olean so important? Okay. How about next level? If you've been through it, I know because some of you next level, several of you were the man Olean. I know, but that weekend fill in the blank. But you're at Olean. You understood the power. Why Olean?
It's not in the Mecca, but it's a chance for you to like put yourself with your peers and see who's really gunning for branch or.
Okay, so you're sizing up the competition. Why Olean?
You're with the well, one, you're with the top of the Eastern region, but second, it's almost like having skin in the game a little bit. As far as your training, you're a lot more invested in your training.
Yeah, part of it too. It's the next management checkpoint. It's really, really important. And I think most of you know that. But every year, and I'm not pointing out anyone specific, and some of you that think I'm talking about you, I'm just saying in general, because I've done this for how many years now, there are always people who are like, I don't know if I can go to Olean. I've got blank, and that's really important. And my response is, number one, I need you to know why you're going to Olean. It's not a knife factory trip. If you think Olean's the knife factory trip, you missed it. Now, is there a knife factory trip? Yes. Is it awesome? It's really awesome, but that's not the trip. The trip is not the knife factory tour. That's part of the trip. Part of it is meeting the executives. Part of it is you get to do drill for steel and make a name for yourself in front of the Eastern region. Part of it is the next matrix score. Part of it is the next part of the training where we go into the training seminar, the big 6 talks from the Focus 5. Part of it is the divisional bonding. Part of it is the one-on-one conversations that happen during the Olean that set up the rest of the winter break and you earning a spot. Because when you get to Olean, there are people that are in the conversation of branch, and then there are the 8 players. $1,000, you're signed up for Olean, your letter of intent is in. To me, that's someone who I would consider for branch right now. Or the Musube, that's you. You're I guess with your new check coming up, you're over 1,000. Yeah, so $1,000, you signed up for Olean, letters in. I would tell when Scott Dennis says, so who's a serious player right now? I'll bring up Mike Musube. Right? I'll bring up Luke Maseko. Actually, that's signed up for Olean technically. It'll be like 30 seconds later, right? But I'll bring up certain people. If someone's at 500 and they're signed up for Olean, well then I can talk about them, but they're not pick of the litter yet. Not yet. And if they don't have either one of these, they're not even in the conversation. If you just have one of the 3, like if you have a letter but $1 in startup, the letter means nothing. If you have no letter, no Olean, and you have $1,000, you're not going to the next event, and you have no intention, you're not committed. If you have your first signed up for Olean but no letter, I could do all the examples. Okay, so keep that in mind. I want to recognize people who are a player right now with regards to startup. These are the people that are over $1,000 in our management class. Bryce Reed with just over 1,000, Annie Beasley with 1,200, Oscar Lubriel in Puerto Rico with 1,400, Eleni from Puerto Rico with 1,700, Ana Hinestrosa, 1,800, Mr. Heisman with 1,900, Callie Fox with 2,800, Oscar Parada 3,800, Caleb with 5,200, Luke 5,700, and Ricky, obviously he's training for districts, so it's a different situation, just shy of $18,000. So these are the people, along with their Olean signups and the letters of intent, that are A players. And these are the people that are in the conversation. From Michael Musube, which this is not accurate until the rest of that stuff, but Michael Musube all the way up to Alex Thomas, who's for most part almost right there. Okay, and I put down the people who have at least 100 in, but you're not even up to par. This is obviously is not due till October 1st, but when is October 1st? Next week, Thursday. Okay, so these are the people who, from Wilfredo, RJ, Kadeem Hall. Yes. Soleil, Jasmine, that's right. Elijah, Antoine, David Vargas, Eli, Isaac, and that's it so far. Okay, so you got to move your matrix. If that's not accurate, come talk to me. We'll work on something. Michael and I were discussing. Luckily, he's keeping a track of everything, and he realized, hey, that report doesn't match up with what I've submitted. So we were able to find out that there was a check that was left in the bin by accident. If he wasn't on top of it, we wouldn't have it. So really important. Push weeks. Anchor number 3. Push weeks matter, everybody. If you take someone who sells consistently or doesn't sell consistently but steps up during the push, that's just as effective as someone who's selling consistently. It's still moving your matrix. Now, the SLC push is over. okay? And it's not too positive. I know that, okay? And for sake of time, right? If you have a 0 report for the push, raise your hand. Okay, so if you're at 0 for the push, okay? You can't tolerate 0 pushes. And I already know because Erica did this update on the spreadsheet, okay? So I'll talk to you one-on-one, okay? Raise your hand if you're 0 for the push and you have no appointments lined up for after this, like today or tomorrow, okay? That's a double whammy. And I already know because, again, thank you, Erica, for marking that down. You have to fight to not be the 0. That's really important. You have 48 hours. I will tell you, you want to make a statement. If you're a double 0 right now, no sales and no demos for after this, make something happen between now and ship up Monday. That will get my attention. It doesn't have to be an ultimate, although I wouldn't stop you if it were an ultimate. But move something. Oh, I don't have time. You can make time if it's important. You can make time for one sale if it's important. You can make time to move your matrix if you make it important. Because guess what? When you run an office, you'll need to make time from scratch then too. And it's busier than it is now. Trust me. Ask Erica, ask Charles. And you have to do it in a place you've never sold before. With your hands stand behind your back in a blindfold. Come on. And remember, and I'll end with some of these. When you go from point A to point B, point B meaning where you want to be, with school, with your finances, with your physical fitness, and you do all these things. That in-between time, if it's I want first years only. What's that in-between process between getting from point A to point B? Remember, right, Jazz? It's crazy time. It's not easy, fluffy, soft. No, not hard at all time. No problem time. It's called crazy time because it's supposed to be crazy. So that when you get to B, it's rewarding. But then guess what happens? Magically, C comes up, and this shouldn't be hard for you anymore because you're tackling this. But so many college students live in this, and they keep finding ways to make crazy time the same all the time. How many of your friends or colleagues or people that you know your age that what they're dealing with problem-wise are always the same damn things? Because they're still stuck in the first crazy time. Okay? What we're going to do is get past it, learn from it, get better, and you don't make the same mistakes twice. What's hard for you in middle school should not be hard for you in high school. What's hard for you in high school should not be hard for you in college. What's hard for you in college and so forth and so forth. I wish, no, I don't actually, but I imagine in a world where the hardest problems I had were the problems I had when I was 19. As a graduating, or 22 as a graduating Cutco college student, looking for different jobs. I remember what was like stressing me at that point in time. If that were the peak of my problems now, wow, what a different life I would have. That's not life. That's Gabby, he's got kids, he knows. That's not life. Life is really messy and weird and throws curveballs and knuckleballs and pitches you've never seen in your life before. You still learn how to hit it. Or you strike out, you get up again, and you bat again. Situational leadership. We talked about going from point A to point B. You guys remember this? Really important point. Do me a favor. If you can go back to your notes from it, but if you remember situational leadership, I want to bring up this, and we'll take a break in a second. Okay. This is from Thursday Prep. You guys remember situational leadership? And NFL, I think you guys covered this, right? Okay. I'm pretty sure Matt and I are on the same first prep. So when you're developing from someone who doesn't know anything, but you're really committed, to D2, you start to know things, but then you lose commitment. What's the first thing? What's the first lesson of that? You can't control it. You have to go through moments of low clarity when you get to the next stage of development. Next stage of development, fraternity, sorority, school, being part of JV, varsity, AGL, life, your relationships. You always go through a moment of you don't know much, but you're excited. That's like when you first start dating. She's amazing. What's wrong with her? Nothing. What do you love about her? Everything. She's perfect. I love her for everything she is. Yeah. Then you find out the things she's not. You're like, whoa. Right? You're like, I don't know about this. But see, this is the difference. You have to be willing. Don't make a decision on that relationship here. Make the decision when you have a better commitment to the process. Okay? So let me use the terms we had before. When you are in D1, you need someone who's going to tell you what to do and not really support you emotionally. Just here's what you have to do. You need someone to direct you. But the moment you lose commitment, what does that mean? You're in what phase? D2, that means you have to find coaching. Okay? Really important that you find coaching. Someone who's going to give you direction, but also support you. And some of you have already transitioned into it. Some of you have gotten past D2 and now are starting your initial stages of D3 with being a management candidate. Then at some point, you'll move on to supporting, where you don't have as much direction, but you just have a lot of support. And then finally, this is the higher end. I would say this is some of you next level, some of you. Questions or comments? How about this? How about, can anyone give some examples of you working through S1 or D1 and D2 in the last couple of weeks, even since the last prep, I would imagine? Or recognition and self-awareness that you're in D2, you caught yourself, you got coaching. Anything of the sorts. Sure. Daniel, or if you're mentoring and mentoring someone. Mentoring someone? Mentoring. Mentoring? Go ahead.
Just the other day, I recognized that I was in D2 actually, but the thing that's really not weird, but it's something that I learned is that even though it's like my third time in AGL, I still go through D2 stage, but it's harder for me to catch in the sense that I found myself just completely down and just like overwhelmed with everything I had going on in general. And my first reaction was like, whoa, I'm going through D2, but right after that, it was like I called Ricky. I said, hey, Ricky, man, this is what's going on, blah, blah. Had a conversation, just making sure that I have that coaching and that communication with anybody that's in my circle of influence.
Yep, because what does someone who is in D2 need? Okay. You don't, right? Well, this is D1, right? Hopeful, inexperienced, curious, new and unskilled, optimistic, excited, eager, enthusiastic, and you don't even know what you don't know yet. Remember that? That's like when you got the AGL certificate. Your first prep in UF, you're like, oh man, I'm a manager. Right? Then classes hit, you're like, damn, this is hard. There's a lot going on. When you get the D2, does this sound familiar? Overwhelmed, confused, demotivated, demoralized, frustrated, disillusioned, discouraged, still learning, inconsistent, and you have flashes of competence. And you're starting, here and there, you start to get good at certain things, but not totally. Here's what you need. You need clarification in your goals and actions, perspective, assurance, I'm just using the keywords, explanation, opportunity to be heard, coaching, reassurance, praise for progress, help and analyze the successes. Debriefing, if you will. Okay. Other examples of getting through D1, D2. Yes, sir.
Well, I wouldn't even say like phases, but you guys don't realize you gotta be self-aware of like where you're at, and like don't be afraid to like talk to people. I think just because a lot of times you'll feel a certain way, and then you will never say it. Like remember before I even did cut like I have a lot of emotions in my head, but I'll never like just vent to someone. Like going through like AGL, going through the Cutco process, you realize the more you talk and you explain certain problems, you realize not only you connect with other people, but at the same time, it's not as bad as you think it is.
Yep.
Because most of the time it's mental and it's just like, well, I'm going through this crazy time. No one else is experiencing this.
And who do you vent to?
Yeah, vent to someone above you.
Yes.
Or sometimes if you're not above you, always up.
Always up. Okay. Now I'll end with this because I end every prep. Okay, and we'll take a break. Don't let anyone out prepare you. That's the worst thing ever. When you could have been better, you just didn't put the work into it. Give up who you are today for who you can become, not even next year, but tomorrow. Can you be a better person, a better version of you by Monday? When you go back to UF, when you go back to school, when you go back to UM, when you go back to the West Coast of Florida. You will feel incapable all the time, and that's normal. Think about what was really hard when you first started selling Cutco. Remember the first phone time for some of you that was like, man, that's just tough making phone calls like that. Or, man, come to the office early? Remember a lot for some of you, Alliance was that challenge, like getting there on time early. Now it's like no big deal. Just think of all the things that are tough now. It's normal to feel incapable. You will tell me you want to quit all the time. I had 3 since last prep. No one's quitting. Right? It's like the Matrix. You take the blue and the red pill. You took the blue pill. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the red pill? Oh, the red pill. Okay. Whatever's making you feel most insecure, work on that. And I can tell by the push reports of what you should focus on, most of you. Okay. Confidence is found through action. Instead of thinking and doing, this is Erica's point. Ready, fire, aim later. You'll feel better than if you try to aim. Well, I haven't fired yet. Everyone's already fired. Might as well not fire anymore. It's too late. That's how you deceive yourself. Fire, aim later. The solution almost always is more communication. Vent up circle of influence or find better circles of influence. We will let everyone else think about what they have to do while the FC's 2 steps ahead already doing. That's the power of our group. The power of our group is what we're already doing. It's messy in the middle and it's hard in the beginning, but we're already doing. That's really important. And you're from the FC, that means something. It means you're from an organization, one of 35 to 40 across the vector marketing, that represents culture, family, team, ethics, high standards of responsibility, team and loyalty, fashion, food connoisseurs, electrifying energy, aggressive pursuit of growth, sits up front, takes the most notes, takes care of each other, chooses the harder route, laughs in the face of adversity. While everyone crumbles, we build. Want more? That's the family we represent. And we're not better than anyone else. Name the other 5 guys, NFL, Virginia. We're not better. This is just our way. But man, our way is awesome. Our way is awesome. It's not better, and that's not humble. That's another part of it. Humble. Like for you, when you go up there, it's going to feel different because there's no place like home. But I expect you to be humble. And even if you feel, oh, this is so much better than FC, fine. But you don't ever talk to people like that. There's nothing like a humble leader. No one wants to listen to the arrogant leader. Okay? And willingly undergone is the greatest virtue. Don't forget that. I'm not promising you it's going to be easy. I promise you it's going to be worth it, as we talk about every prep. So let's have an awesome session today. If you could humor me, please turn to the agenda. We'll take a break right now. If you turn to the agenda, or look to the person next to you for now. It's not super urgent. You have it in front of you. When we come back from the break, I am going to cover the branch pay program. I think it's really important to know how you get paid as a branch manager and how you impact the 2 objectives of branch. What are the 2 objectives? Experience and profit what? Profit potential. I think you need to know how you can control that. Then Beth's going to come give her receptionist message. So Beth Shishmani will be here live. Then we'll take a break, and then we'll go into the one-on-one PR program. This is your first step into the Focus 5. Okay, you've already learned the interview. Now we're going to teach you how to generate recruits through Beth's program receptionist and through PR. If you look, if you notice, okay. If you look at Focus 5, what have you learned so far? If you're a first-year management candidate in AGL, you've learned how to get show to training. What's that? That's the interview. And that's pretty much it. Today, you're going to learn the entire PR program, the overview, and you're going to learn the receptionist program overview. So already starting to dive into the Focus 5, which is really exciting. By the time we get to Christmas, winter break, we'll be here. By the time we get to January, February, we'll be here. By the time we get to March and April, good luck. No, good luck. You taken. Okay. I like that movie. Then we're gonna unleash the CG 3.0 Optimal Performance Program, and really what it is we're gonna go through the syllabus, and I'm gonna teach you how to sign up. And we have a great value for you. It's gonna be $25 a month. And if you coach with Chris, you're probably like, what the hell? But normally, I told you, he coaches about $200, $100 to $200 per session. You're getting $25 a month. Why? Because I said we have college students and I need their money for branch. He's like, fine. So I'm paying him in different ways. But I just want you to know it's not mandatory. But I can't imagine. I'm just telling you, the $25 investment a month to put on where you could be, not for fitness, but for your energy, I'm just telling you it's going to make a big difference. And you have my money back guarantee, same thing. You put 4 months into it. We have a 4-month launch. The program is for 8 weeks, which will be for now through January. And then we have a second part. If after the first part it wasn't worth your money, I'll reimburse you the $100, no problem. That's how much I believe in it, okay? And then we'll talk about finances, part 1 of 7. We're always going to talk about money every single meeting, and then we'll wrap up and adjourn. And we may or may not have a team night out depending on certain situations. Got it? Awesome. So before we go to break, and we'll take a 10-minute break in a second. Biggest takeaways from Intro to Prep number 1. Biggest takeaways. Yes, Erica.
I think what you said about notes, just kind of like being intentional, and it should be a debrief. Like if you're copying every slide, that's not really doing you any justice. But are you like debriefing with yourself? Measuring action steps that you can take based on what you're taking away.
You want to know the professional psychological way to debrief?
So that's like fried rice.
Yes. To debrief, eat fried rice. You self-share, meaning you go through all your notes and find out what were the most important things you took from blank, AGL local, AGL monthly. Second, you share with a partner, mentor, mentee, someone NLG, because you might hear another point. It's like, oh yeah, you know what? It makes me think of this. That's why you share on your own, share with yourself, if you will, share with a partner, and then you create a 2 to 3, no more than 3 action steps. And it doesn't have to be massive, just something where you're moving in the direction of what you took away. For example, biggest thing is right now I'm not in the most fit self and I'm so low in energy and I need that energy. That's one of my biggest takeaways. You share it with Charles, right? And Charles is like, yeah, well, I'm working out every week. Oh, let me join you. Okay, action plan. One of mine is to join Charles twice a week at the court and play hoops. Shoot some hoops for 2 days a week. That's one of my 2 or 3 action steps to hit what I took most from the prep. See how that works? Because what's happening? Now you're bringing someone else into the accountability. You're forcing to share, and now you're forcing to do something related. Cool? All right. What else? Takeaways?
We provide a business opportunity faster than you even mature. Like when I heard that quote, it was so funny when I went to awards night and my mom heard like, yeah, look around, most of these kids don't even make their rooms, but they're running an office. My mom literally died laughing because she's like, that's my son. And no, just looking back on it, like the things that you get from running a branch, like the personal growth, like the challenges, the obstacles, the rewards, the trophies, it's something that, I don't know, it's indescribable. You gotta experience it.
Yeah, you have to be there. You gotta be there. You had to be there.
Yeah, you gotta be there.
Okay.
Go branch.
Go branch. What else? Takeaway.
One thing that I took away is definitely when you said follow, and you used Jasmine's example, like follow the syllabus. Guys, the same way when we go to like S2, we learned that we shouldn't try to implement everything at the same time. So I guess the same way, follow the syllabus to know where to focus, like what to watch, what to shadow, stuff like that, and not try to get everything at the same time because that could be too much. It could be overwhelming.
Yeah, be focused on what's important. Keep the main thing the main thing. Franco.
Just being self-aware of what stage you're in. I feel like if you're going to look to manage others, you have to be able to manage yourself.
Yeah, you yourself are useless. When you're, who flies a lot? You guys know the analogy I'm going to use. Who flies a lot? In the event of an air pressure, mask will drop from the ceiling. Please put the mask on.
The bag will not
yeah, it says the oxygen will be flowing even though the bag's not in play. Yeah. And it says, in the event you are with children, please place the mask on yourself first. Why? Because if you die, you both die. If you pass out, you both pass out. That's the problem. So, what else? Yes, sir.
It kind of goes back to basically all the points you just brought up. Why branch twice? Why AGL in the first place? I remember you talking probably a couple months ago about our generation and why it's labeled as the Y generation. It kind of just goes back to why not generation.
Yeah, you remember that slide? Generation Why Not? Good. Ms. Corminas, thank you.
Make sure you stay or get out of the crazy zone as soon as possible because you can get caught up in it.
Yeah, and it's okay. You're supposed to go through crazy times, but here's the problem. It's not okay to go through crazy time without help because we're automatically giving you help here. Like, that's just absurd. For you to go through crazy time and not get coaching during D2 when by nature AGL is coaching set up for you. I'll say it again. If the solution to get out of D2 is coaching, AGL is coaching. So there's no excuse. How about that? Does that register? Third, the second thing that's unacceptable is to go through crazy time and go through the same exact identical crazy time. That means you didn't grow up. Or you didn't grow up, period. Cool. Good point. 1 or 2 more. Blake.
Being self-warriors of your circle of influence. The reason why we do this each and every single prep is to see whether or not if your circle of influence are the same or if they change for the better, change for the worse. And it's really great because since we're taking notes, it's always good to look back and say, oh, that person is not in my circle of influence, that person is. So this and this happened, or in this stayed the same. So just being conscious of that, just being self-aware.
Yeah, and this might be for next level, maybe first years if you want to steal this tip. But when you're doing your power hour every week, it might be worth it to say, okay, this week, who was in my top 5 this week? And do I like it? Who did I associate with most? The 5 people this week. What were the 3 things I liked about that average person? 3 things I didn't like. Do I need to change it? You do it weekly. Why not? Why not? Last one.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Also, kind of what we went over in the Alliance, how it's like important not to just do things to do it. Make sure you know why you're doing it, and it'll keep you going and more motivated if you know exactly what your goals are and why you're doing things.
Yeah, you don't get frustrated. Like, for example, I'm using real life. Right now, at my apartment is the love of my life, Heidi Hagar, who lives in Delaware. She's here for a week studying for her medical boards. If she doesn't pass, she's not a doctor. Life is done. She'll be fine. But she's down here to see me at the same time, studying right before. It's October 6th, so say a prayer for her. October 6th. And she wants to be down here. It's going to put her in a good mood. She loves the sun. More so she loves me. Okay. But there's nothing more there's nothing more I'd rather do than to be there. I would much rather be with her than just be with you guys right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? But I love the thought of what this prep sets up for the future. I love the idea. I love more so the idea of who you guys become the next prep versus if I didn't meet with you today. I more so, she, under the banner, making sure you share, she also understands the benefit of why she should be at my apartment by herself for 9 hours today. She's going to come a little bit. And why it's worth it for her to study. She hasn't gone on any vacations. All she's been doing is studying. All her free time has been studying. Why? Because she understands the value of October 6th after she passes that pediatric board. So, know your whys. Sorry, just going off on a tangent. Yes, sir. Last one.
You said last one, but I would say one thing that really stood out to me as far as as far as this prep is just the culture that we have here. As far as when I see everyone in this room right now, we're all like ambassadors of the FC. One thing that I realized in our NLG session is that one of the things when I was running the prep on Thursday that I mentioned, and one of the first things you mentioned in NLG is being consistent within the interview and with what's going on in training, meaning that you want to make sure that you're on script and making sure that was building value on why you need to follow the script, why you need to be consistent with what you're having on script and what you're doing in training. And that's exactly what you talked about coming into NLG as far as the opening comments. And it was really refreshing to say, okay, cool. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm on track, and everything else that's following.
Yeah, there's a reason the slides if you pay attention, 70% of the opening comments are the same every week. Why? Because they're really important. And they're meaningful, right? If I'm a parent, I promise this is the last one. If I'm a parent and I say, no, Johnny, you can't take the M&Ms and put them under your shirt. That's called stealing, honey. So, and I know you want, because they don't know. Like, they don't know that, like, they see M&M, you want M&Ms. They take it. Vitor, honey, here's why it's bad. So let's go to the teller. This is Vitor, my son, and I just want you to know, he put the M&Ms under his shirt, and he knows it's not good, right, honey? Right. And I want you to give it back to the lady. And if it's, nice job, nice job, nice job. I'm very proud of you. And then in the car, I'll have 10 bags of M&Ms for him because he did the right thing. But if the second time he does it, and I go, we're late, just come on, just take it, fine, let's go. That's not consistent. And so ready? There's a lot of gray area in what's right or wrong in that family. You guys understand what I'm saying? There is no gray area in what is right or wrong in this family. I'll tell you right now, there's no gray area of what I believe in, what I expect you to believe in if you're going to be part of this team. There's no gray area. There's zero. There's no ambiguity. There's no like, well, I wonder if Jeff would be mad at that. No, you know if I would not like that or not. You know if this is right or wrong here. You know how we treat women here. You know how we treat older people, elderly. Oh, and elderly. Yeah. You know how I expect you to treat the people of the opposite sex. How I expect you to treat them. Right? The culture, the culture of respect, the culture of responsibility. You know how I expect you to dress professionally. There's no ambiguity. Right? So take this lesson. If you learn anything, that's how you teach your kids. And buy them 10 packs of M&Ms when they return the ones they stole. Okay. Speaking of M&Ms being stolen, let's take 10 minutes. It is 3:31, 3:41. We'll come back to branch pay quickly. Vitor, 10 packs of M&Ms. All right.
Great to talk to you.
Last year was
Yeah.
Great to talk to you.
Sandwich off camera.
That's I've been spoken to Ricky a long time. If you're about to tell me something that is gonna piss me off, you might want to hold off. All right. What's a good time to? And Victor, I'm not even sure what it is, but if it's that important, it should have happened last week before today. Okay.
When's a good time to talk about?
Monday.
Monday.
All right. Set it up right now.
All right.
I have everything and I have your running to-do list.
Yeah.
So do you want me to just wait to send me that?
Okay, as a prep in case I add more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
And we're going to kick it.
I just realized I should be in the green screen, but I didn't factor in the withholding I'll get from my Olean homemaking.
What do you mean green screen?
My withholding.
Oh, your
it's like $150 off. So I'm an A player again.
How about 12:45 on Monday?
I'll be on my way. You didn't respond to the email. I talked with Daniel. I booked my family. We're going on a cruise Monday through Friday.
Oh, I see.
I'm missing the. I'll be missing the functions, and I tried to get.
Wait till you get back. When you get back?
I get back Friday.
On the 2nd?
Yes.
Why don't you reach out to me?
Maybe like Friday evening or Saturday morning, or.
How about Tuesday the 6th? Why don't you make it a note to reach out to me in the morning via text? Okay, so put the text strap in the morning.
Okay.
To set laser call to discuss October.
Can you spare me 15 minutes this week?
This week? Probably. You have your planner? Can you pull it now?
I actually don't have it. Both of them.
I'll put on October field visit. Gavin, I'll put on field visit with me coming here.
What?
I'll put that in my notes. You're gonna ask me about field visiting.
Yeah, field visit.
Yeah, next week is tough unless you want to do Monday.
I can do Monday.
Okay.
I was going to say Monday or Wednesday, probably not.
How about 3:45? 4.
Monday.
3:45 / 4. Depending when I finish up my 3 o'clock call. That works? Okay. You can send an email ahead of time on that morning if you want. Prep it. Yeah. Is that our agreement?
Yeah. I like that.
I love that.
I'm sorry, I can't not do it.
So it's just like, yeah, started just understanding over here.
No. So ignorant. Someone does not like you.
I just got into an argument.
Oh, I need to go to the bathroom.
But I mean, I have really
– 4 minutes.
Oh, okay. You did it. Okay. It's like doing opposites.
Steve Angelo, Monday, let's go. Jeff has this song.
Jeff loves Steve Angelo. He wants change.
Dark Food dance.
That's a good dance.
That's pretty crazy. Wow.
Hey, you only did something on Saturday. You only did Elijah got you today. Let's go get some dinner.
She deserves it.
Carbo loading.
Yeah, I know.
Love and beyond.
2 minutes, please, everyone. Get everyone. Still be home.
I'm so excited.
He's like, my baby.
Yeah.
It's actually
What time do you get in? They're acoustic hours.
Yeah.
I leave at 9 a.m. Get there at 10 a.m. I'm looking at my ticket like, no, it's an hour to get to.
Ricky.
Let's change. Fantastic.
Yeah. Tell me.
Nothing. Just
Sharp. Especially when they're talking TSM. Jeez. Is that what you learned US?
No,
Just kidding. I'm just
I just have to. I just did the network, so I give you credit. He's like a body.
Good job. Is it okay for like one of the reception shifts with my back is hurting?
Thanks for asking.
No, well, they have 5 demos for tonight. The challenge, I guess, with them not coming on day one, or like not doing day one, was just lack of names. But I don't think it made a humongous difference. They just have like a limited resource. They have limited resources when it comes to like names and numbers. So they didn't have one in the first place. So I made an assignment to get a lot more last week.
I mean, I figured you were gonna deal with a challenge already if you're only getting pumps.
Yeah.
You done already?
Yeah.
It sucks that we launched it too, but we'll great. 7th day. All right, grab a seat, everybody. We gotta roll. We have to roll.
Jeff, do you fly to Miami? Or do you fly to Atlanta, right?
I am.
Like literally everyone is flying to Miami to Cancun. I'm the only person flying to Cancun. That's my biggest concern.
Of all the things. All right. Grab a seat. If you could pull up the branch pay. This is really important, everybody, because Okay. Okay. Thank you. Ricky, when you're set, I know you just finished training, so whenever you're all set, just come back in. Thank you, sir. Thanks for rocking training. So, profit potential, experience and profit potential. One of the things that, one of the biggest values of running a branch office, and maybe Charles and Erica can chime in on this, but it's just the ability to have an experience of dealing with profit loss. Because at the end of the day, a successful business is one that's considered in the red versus in the black. I'm sorry, in the black versus in the red. You guys understand what that means? Yeah. In the red means in the negative. Black means profit positive. Even if you only made $1 profit, you can still put on your resume, I started a business from scratch in May or April of 16. And within 3 to 4 months, I was able to turn a profit. In the business world, that is unheard of. But our model is set up for you to do so. Okay, our model has what's called, and a couple notes I want you to take instead of just going through this with me. A couple things I want you to write down. We have what's called expense control. The model has what's called expense control. Meaning, you could spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on receptionists, and you would get more recruits, but you wouldn't turn profit because you're spending too much on the receptionists. We have ranges and caps, and we set up a plan where you're only going to spend a certain amount. But just because you set up a plan doesn't mean you stick to it. My brother sets up fitness plans all the time of what not to eat and what to eat. And then he sees his clients boozing up and drinking beer all the time. Now, you'll learn his program is not about limiting yourself and restrictions, but you have to stick to some type of a plan. And we have business control, expense control. Number 2 thing I want you to write down, okay? It's not exact, it's just a range. And I want you to write that down, please. Even for second year, it's not exact, it is a range. But man, it's an accurate range. And I hope Andrew doesn't mind me using him as an example. Andrew Evans, our #1 branch, our highest CPO branch, I had him do his profit loss statement for me. It was within $500 of what we projected to the T, right? 15,000. He profited about between $13,000 and $15,000. If he sold this much in his office and he sold and sold this much personally, he would profit around this much. And it was like I said, between 13 and 15, he profited between 13 and 15. I've also had branches that have come back to me at the end of the summer and said, yeah, I made $3,000 or $4,000 less than you said. I have less of that less in my account. I said, well, do your profit loss. Well, no, this matches up. Okay. How much did you spend on food? Oh, well, that doesn't count. Sure it does. You paid for it, didn't you? So a lot of these expenses will teach you how to, and I want you to write down business separate from personal. Business separate from personal. What that means is this model is set up on a profit for your business model. It doesn't include personal, meaning if you overspend on personal, we're talking about how do you profit here. Charles and Erica can speak to this. I do your profit model when we meet with you before you branch. We spend, what, 3 hours doing it, your whole planning. We do business profit, personal profit, and how do you profit on both. Like if you sell this much, you should profit on your business expenses. If you sell this much, you should profit on both, business and personal, okay? So let me just go through this. Number 1, commission override. When you have representatives, you'll notice here, the more they sell, the less you're making on a percentage. This is another automatic reason why we're not a multi-level marketing company where you just recruit people and you don't work. Okay? Because the higher they go, you make less. This is really helping you to push what? More recruits. Okay? Do you understand that? Really important. 0 to 1,000 is where you make the most profit. Why? Because they're the newest. Which is why first weekend is so important, isn't it? When you launch someone, that first weekend business is the majority of a manager's income. Second part, right here, on average, it ranges between 17 and 20% for your summer. I usually use the number 18%. Okay? If you have a high productivity, what does that mean? Your reps sell a lot. You're probably making a lot less on your reps. If you have a lot of recruiting but low productivity, I mean you recruit a lot of people, but per rep they don't sell as much, you might be higher towards 20%. I usually like to use 18 as the number. Andrew had high productivity, decent recruiter. So he was like at the 18 mark. Company contribution, you get $6,000 in startup from the company once you receive your approved lease for your office space. That's $6,000 that will be divvied up across the summer and helps you to fund your office expenses. Also, you will get $2,500 contributed towards advertising mailers, meaning letters that are sent out to college students from a specific income for specific zip codes in your territory. It's pretty cool. It's one of our highest profiting and most effective sources of advertising. If you're in Puerto Rico, there aren't many mailers down in Puerto Rico just because the company we use doesn't have a lot of access to addresses down there. So I would say the average branch, we use that money instead of towards mailers, we use it towards newspaper and train advertising. We'll advertise in the trains in Puerto Rico. They have a train system that goes to all the major schools. So we'll advertise in the train and newspapers there. So the money's just used differently. Personal commissions, you're making 35% commission all the time on personal sales. But in July, August, September, you get flat 50. It's one of the most profitable parts of the program, okay? Every branch, for these models to work, you have to sell 10 to 15 grand plus. And we only had 3 branches that did that. Eric was one of them, Andrew was the other one, and someone else came close. But if you're not selling 10 to 15 grand in the summer, then it's not matching up to the profit model, okay? In other words, if someone says, well, Jeff, I didn't profit as much as I thought we would on the model, how much did you personally sell? 2 grand. Well, then there you go. So can you see why moving your matrix and personal sales is important now? Because if you can show that you can sell here during school, you can sell in a different territory with your office when it's July and August or September. Really important. Any questions on this? This is awesome, by the way, flat 50.
When you typically sell, like weekends? Or?
Yeah, we work on this. It depends on how fast you go from the 30 to 90 days of management group to management one-on-one. You tell me, Erica, when do you sell?
SC2.
Yeah, SC2 on. You'll sell with your team. Okay. You're not running interviews, you're not running trainings. Returning branches. So for round 2, choose growth branches. You're going to get an extra $1,500 in mailer support from the region, which is an extra 3,000 mailers. Or if you're in Puerto Rico, if you go to Puerto Rico, it's just an extra $1,500. Also, if you promote a branch. So Erica's in a cool situation. So is Andrew. Let's say Gavin and Bryce are branches next year. You also get a 1% override off of their branch office. It's like a mini district manager. Pretty cool. Also for returning branches, here's something really cool. If you export, right, if you go branch abroad essentially, you also get an additional $1,000 to pay your moving expenses. So $1,000 usually covers more than your personal. Yeah, if you drive and move, $1,000 will cover that and a little bit more usually. How much was your move? Essentially, altogether.
Well, I live in a hotel, so like it's a little different.
Okay, so you had to add a little bit more there.
Well, it was actually like really cheap because it was $1,300, but I got it dropped all the way down to $500.
Negotiation, good. All right, so we pay an extra $1,000. So if you have any remote interest of going abroad, write down plus an extra $1,000. Summer advance. At the beginning of the summer, to help your cash flow, all branch managers will receive an advance of $750. It's just a loan that's given to you up front, and then the company will collect on it later in the summer so that you have cash up front and the beginning of the summer, and this is paid back on a 2% repay. So 2% of your paycheck will go towards repaying that. Yes, sir.
Is that model, I think,
yes.
That was the one from last year, and it's a little bit different.
This is updated. This is 2016, okay? Branch manager expenses. I'm just going to go lightning quick through this. These are the different things you'll spend money on. I want you to write notes on this. Number one note is that this is not all paid at once. So when you see $19,000 to $25,000, you're not spending $19,000 to open your office. This is throughout the summer. Some of them are up front, some of them throughout. So I'm going to go through each one, and I'm going to have you write down up front or throughout the summer. Office rent, either or. Sometimes we do it up front if you have a lot of startup because you can negotiate a cheaper price. Sometimes if you say, hey, we'll pay you the whole summer rent up front because my branch manager Vitor here has enough money to do it, well, then they'll give you, okay, I'll give you $1,000 off the rent if you pay me the whole thing up front because they want cash. Okay, so usually throughout the summer. Utilities is throughout the summer. That's like FPL, light, water. Newspaper ads, that's usually in advance. We pay for it, set it, forget it. Web and Craigslist, that's throughout the summer. Mailers, that's prepaid in advance. You already have how many mailers paid for? You already have 5,000 mailers paid for. Okay, they're 50 cents a pop. You already have 5,000 paid for. If you're going to send more than 5,000 mailers, if your territory specific to where you're running an office has the amount of mailers to send more than 5,000, so most of you will go to a territory where you have between 4,000 and 7,000 mailers available. If you go to a bigger market, like for example, Boca had 15,000 mailers available. Anything above the 5,000 the company's covering, you have to prepay. Which means if you have more than the normal startup, you will have more mailers to send. If you have more mailers to send, you will have more recruits. You have more recruits, you have more CPL, so it's a return on investment. Okay? Questions so far? Okay. Posters and business cards, that's paid throughout the summer. Telephone service, that's paid throughout the summer. We do voice over IP, which is like Vonage, so it's not as expensive. Receptionists, you pay throughout the summer. These are for receptionists taking incoming calls. PR callers, these are for people who only call outgoing PR names, personal recruit names. Sample kit chargebacks, that's if someone doesn't return the kit, you get charged $50 for a sample kit. It's already worked into your budget that you're going to lose some. This is this is 10 kits. We already plan on you losing between 10 and 30 kits. Hopefully you don't want to be 30 kits. Okay. Furniture, okay. 0 to 500, why would it be 0? How would it be 0? It's sponsored, right? Lit and supplies, that's like blue books, anything you have to order from the company, that's throughout the summer. Travel and conferences, that's throughout the summer. Minimum profit, you can make a note, minimum profit equals base pay. Minimum profit means base pay. You pay 1/4, and you can write that in your notes. Minimum profit equals base pay, and you're responsible for 1/4 of a rep's base pay. Let's say Charles is my rep, I owe him, let's say $40 of base pay. That's pretty low. If I owe him $40 of base pay first weekend, I pay 10 of the 40, Vector Marketing pays the other 30. Okay, and that's what this number is. So you should be paying out your reps base pay. Fast Start, this is when someone wins Fast Start prizes, you pay part of their prizes. That's 1/16. You can write that down. That's 1/16. Contests and promotions, that'd be like phone jams, gift certificates. Shipping is when you ship labels up. It should only be 100 because if you talk to the company gives you a prepaid, you pay $10 a week to ship up your labels, and it works out to less than $100. If you don't do it through the company, you end up spending more money. Business license, business insurance, those are both prepaid for the summer. Divisional expenses, and that's when all the managers chip in towards paying for the meetings and certain contests for the FC. That's paid throughout the summer. DRM, which is divisional recruiting manager, that's Beth in the back. So every manager has a fee that they're charged to help compensate her services. Elvis program, what we do is we resurrect Elvis from the dead, king of rock and roll. It's not cheap, you know, when you have from the dead to life, it's a lot of money. Elvis program is the Craigslist program. We have an automated, outsourced way of placing Craigslist. It's through a Filipino guy named Elvis, the first one. So we called it the Elvis program. But people in the Philippines will place your Craigslist ad, and it's $100 of your life versus you doing it. Vector Live is the fee to pay for all your stats to go through that program. And the miscellaneous, I usually up it to 1,000 to 2,000 just to make sure I would over project it, okay? So on average, the lower, cheaper expense branches are like 15 grand, 14 grand. On the high end, and I wouldn't approve anyone here who's their first year for an expense that high. I would only approve someone closer to 30 if they branched at least twice. Even Andrew Evans, with him being in the pilot after a summer, I kept him closer to low to mid 20s. I didn't have him go 30. Now next year, based on what he wants to ship, I might let him go towards 30. Because if you have a higher expense, you also have higher potential for what? Return and reps and CPM. On average, it works out to between 19 and 25. Do you happen to know by chance your total expenses?
I think for my cap it was like
24. I put you on the higher end too because you had startup. Do you remember your?
I was for total expense for somewhere right around 14 to 16.
Yeah, I put you closer to 15. I already know. I remember if you have depending on your startup. So let me give you some pay models, and these are pretty accurate, by the way. Okay, this is an office where they only sold $30,000 in their office. So this office is not winning trophies at Push Weeks. This office is not on the report. This office isn't the gigantic office. This is an office getting experience. The branch sells $15,000. The reason it's higher is because they'll have more time to sell. If their office is only selling 30, that means they're probably selling more so than not. They're probably doing phase 2 of branch faster. So if you take average commission at 20, remember we said 17 to 22%. Company startup, mailer support, usually it's about $300 in contests that the region pays out each summer. Personal sales, you make flat 50 off of that. Your total gross income works out to $22,300. If you take out the expenses you paid that we just went through, here the expense. If you take out the average expenses, subtract here 18 to 20 grand, you're looking at about a 2 to 4 grand profit. Okay. One thing I also want to share with you, this is really important. I think this is what makes me feel really good about presenting this to your parents. We also have a safety net. 1% of every branch's, all the pay that a division manager, 1% of a district manager's pay and 0.5% of my pay get withheld. Meaning, let's say, I'm going to use Luke as an example. When Luke goes branch next year, the pay that I make off of him, the half of that percent is withheld. I don't get it unless we know he's able to pay his bills. If he can't pay his bills, my money, that 0.5% goes to him to pay his bills. So what I want you to see is it's called the safety net program. So you're not in it by yourself. And in fact, our districts don't get paid and the division manager doesn't get paid fully unless you're profitable. Cool? All right, so it offsets the expenses. Actual income and expenses will vary. And I just I'll stop there for a second. Any questions, any takeaways, or any comments from branches? Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the startup money go towards the total expenses?
Startup money, say it again.
Yeah, the startup money that we have, wouldn't that go startup towards the
Company startup or personal startup?
personal startup?
Yeah, it's outside this equation. Oh. Yeah. Personal startup should be for moving, but also could add towards any of this. Yeah, you could add. So the more startup, the better. This is what is already guaranteed, but it's not profit because here's why it's not profit. You already had it before the summer. Cool. Good point. Now let's do another model. The office sales go a little bit higher. This is like Naya. Naya, this is your office. 60, closer to 60. Now, notice their personal sales are closer to 12, not 15. Why? Because the bigger the office, probably have less time to sell, and they're probably in their office mode longer than they are in their selling mode. The numbers change accordingly. It's a 4 to 7 grand profit. This is 100 grand office with 10 grand in personal sales. You make 9 to 11 grand. I'm just going to go quickly here. This is Andrew Evans' office to the T. In fact, I think he was 13, 14. This is Andrew's office perfectly. His office did 130,000+. He sold 15. He actually sold closer to 12, 13 personally. Go through. 150 goes to 12 to 16, and so forth. And that's a different slide. And so forth and so forth. I don't even show you the 300, 200, 250, 300 unless you're second or third year branch. Why? Anyone know why? Maybe to I don't want to overwhelm you.
So teaching the secret weapon.
But why do you think I don't show the highest numbers, the 200, 300, 400?
Same reason why you don't pull those two on
It's obtainable, but it's not. That's not the focus of a first year branch. Yeah. I don't even set up the expense models in a way for you to go for those numbers. I'll say it again. We don't set up a first year's branch's expense models in a way that they could do 200, 300, 400 because it's too risky profit wise. Now, what's one thing all branches can control that even if the model's not set up recruiting wise for them to get that many recruits and sell 200,000, 300,000, what's one thing that's in your control that changes the game and it's free? What is it? Personal what? Personal sales and one more thing. What's one more thing that doesn't cost any money?
Startup.
Steroid PRs. PRs. But specifically steroid PRs. When you have more steroid PRs, you know steroids are PRs, all right? When you have more steroid PRs and you sell personally, that jacks up your profit way more. But like for example, Andrew, I'll talk to Andrew about $200,000-300,000. When Charles wants to go out again, I'll talk about how do you get, what's the difference between the branch you did and $200,000-300,000. I'll definitely cover that for the second, third time. For new district managers, we kind of keep the same template model. But for Ricky, who's run 2 pilots, I'll talk to him about $300,000-400,000. Different than someone who's going district than a Gavin who, how do we get you to profit first? Forget the competition later. And if it happens, it happens. Cool? Any questions or takeaways? Okay, so let me, quick exercise before I turn things over to Miss Beth. I want to cover top things that impact your profit when it comes to the expense model. Okay? And this is going to segue to our financial discussion. And I would love the feedback from branches who run offices. Yes?
By the way, they'll just watch it. We don't need to start from the
Oh, perfect. Okay. Oh, we're on time, though. Thanks for that. So, profit factors, and Miss Timid at the end of this, if you could take a picture, post on AGL. Profit factors, okay? Anyone want to guess on a couple things that impact profit? What are some things that impact profit?
Personal sales.
Okay, that's number one. Ready? So your personal sales. If a manager sells $100,000 and then Allie sells $100,000 in her office, I get lazy and I don't sell any Cutco personally. She does 10 grand. She's already going to make $5,000 more than me. So part of it is why it's so important to sell now during the school year before we make decisions in January, February to show us that you can sell, because that's going to impact your profit. Part of it. If someone says, I just don't like selling, you don't have to like selling, but just do it to profit. I personally don't like selling, believe it or not. I personally don't like doing appointments anymore. But I love what happens when I teach people how to. I love what happens when I did as a branch. Okay. What else impacts the bottom line, profit?
Location.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning, for rent, right? Like I guess the location that they're in. Let's say it's a person with high startup. Would that be because since it's like the cost of living is high? Would that?
Yeah, try and rephrase your question and come back to me. Okay. What other thing that impacts profit?
And I was just gonna correct you.
Well, try to say it in a different way. Okay, get back to it. Other things that impact profit.
PRs.
What's that?
PRs.
Yeah, do you have a PR program?
Receptionist program.
Okay. I'll stay with this one first. If you have a PR program, if you have a good PR program, you're getting higher quality recruits that bring more CPO, more volume, more profit. If you don't have a good PR program, you're only selling off of people that come in through mailers, the internet, OCPs. But your best people are from the PR program. Why? Because it's targeted. Why? Because you're getting PRs from your best people. The pilot this year had a really good PR program. Therefore, we had a really good summer with high profit. Receptionist. And there's a whole list of things, and Beth's not even going to get into this part today. But your receptionist program is one of the #1 factors of your profit. She's going to teach you something called the funnel today, okay? Of what it takes to create recruits. At the end, you got to cut to a nice seller. There's a lot that goes into from the moment someone applies, let's say Craigslist, PR, mailer, online web advertising. There's a lot that goes from when they apply to when they sell knives on the 3rd-day training. There's a lot, and she's going to cover all the different numbers. But here's what I will say. If your receptionist program is not good, it affects the biggest part of the funnel, which statistically, if I just want visually to see, where do you impact this the most? Where it's thin or where it's big? Where it's big. So your receptionist program is all here. That's your receptionist program. If you have a bad receptionist program, you've already done this. It's harder to recruit people. Okay? You have a bad receptionist program, they're not making PR calls properly, they're not efficient. If you have a bad receptionist program, it all goes from there. Which is why Beth is one of the most important people for you to understand and get to know, and also whose program you need to understand, which is the reception program. Other things, even first years, guesses, or second, next level.
Your training.
Yeah, so your training seminar, right? If you run a training seminar where people come in but they don't make many sales, or they leave appointment, they're fired. How was your training, Ali? Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, why? They're just so excited. How many demos do they have? Oh, they don't have any demos today. That wasn't a good training. Feels good and excited doesn't define a good training. Charles, what defines a good training?
Demos and CPO.
Demos, CPO, and one more.
And PRs.
And PRs, yeah. Right? So based on how many number launched, if I launch 10 people, what's a good training? It's how much they sold and how many PRs you got. That's the definition. How was the phone jam? Oh, phone jam was awesome. Why? It felt good. It was fun. How many demos did everyone get? 1 per person. That's terrible. Right? Okay. What else? Next level. PDI, okay. So if you notice, what am I really writing here? Focus 5. Okay. Now, go to other things that are not cut correlated. What are things that impact, Ms. Branch Manager, your profit?
What do you mean?
What are things that you can control or things that go into determining how much money you make at the end of the summer?
Just being on top of your expenses.
Okay,
so
ready?
Like being on top of your phone bill.
Okay, so ready? Awareness and tracking. Who's ever done this in college usually, or sometimes high school? Like, man, I didn't keep a track. Whoa, I didn't realize, but man, that bill was blank. Wow, it got crazy. I didn't realize. That's negligent. That's also how most college students operate. Okay. But when you're aware and you're tracking, wouldn't it be awesome if the second prep of AGL on September 26th, we set you up with the system on how to track your finances? Wouldn't that be really cool? If that's what happened today at the end of training, right before we leave today at about 7 o'clock? That'd be really cool. Wouldn't it be really cool if your assignment between now and the next prep is to come up with a weekly and monthly budget that you now have to be aware and you're forced to be aware? That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool, wouldn't it? What else? Aware and tracking. What else? Expenses.
I was just going to say consistency amongst all of those. So if those things match up with each other.
Okay, yeah, consistency. I'm going to put focus 5. And your focus 5 is on point. Give me more non-cut correlated. I want next. Go ahead.
Attitude.
Attitude towards money. I love this one. Okay, that's a big one. Attitude towards money. I'm going to put down $100 roll, which will start today. Next level, believe it or not. Talk about it. Can't believe it's 1 year later. $100 roll starts today. Remember that?
Yeah.
How do you value $100? Right? Oh, I'll just buy it now. Mentality doesn't work if you want to be profitable. I'll just get it. It's no big deal. I'm young. Why not? Etc. Versus, oh, that's not in my budget. You know, I'd love to. That's just not in the budget. I went suit shopping. With the perfect example. I went to the suit, and I saw 2 more. Of course, they brought the thunder when it came to that. Oh, Mr. Kim, can I at least show you a couple other things? I think this would really go well with the suit. And I was like, damn. That's nice. He goes, I know. I figured you'd like that. You're a man of style. I'm like, oh, you're good. Right? And he was going to add another $200, $300, $400. And it wasn't a problem. It wouldn't have been a problem. But I said, you know, it wasn't what I was planning for. Sorry. I love it. Maybe next time, but I was only planning for this. So I'm just going to stick with that. Because that's my financial attitude. Or if I pulled that trigger, what I have to do is go back to the drawing board. If I did pull the trigger, I have to go back. I have to call my accountant. I have to call my financial guy, and I have to sit down my personal planning, and I have to take away something somewhere else. And I wasn't willing to take away somewhere else. So I'm not changing them. But some of you, it's, whatever, I'll just deal with it. Or I know I'm going to get in trouble, but like that doesn't work. Your attitude towards money. Tracking, what else? Planning, okay, part of it, okay, yeah.
Like scheduling.
Yeah, planning.
The right schedule.
Planning your money. Part of your power hour, next level group, we talked about the 4 different sessions, right? On top of power hour. If you're a first year, if you're not doing power hour, that's already a downfall. If you're doing a power hour, 15 minutes of it should be financial. Update your check register, update your checkbook. Okay. Well, Jeff, I don't have checks. Why are you teaching me to use a checkbook? Because adults use checkbooks. You don't pay your mortgage through cash unless you're a drug dealer.
It's true.
Right?
Is that illegal?
Can't do that, right? You have, right? And that, I think that's such an important plan. You have to plan your money. You have to have systems. You have to stick to the budget and be aware of the budget and set something up. We're going to teach you about how you can put a weekly budget together, how you stick to it. It's really important. The days of, oh man, I don't even know how much is in my bank account are over after this prep. The days of going to your ATM, pushing the PIN number and crossing your fingers. Those days are over. It's not acceptable here. It's not acceptable to make that a game and for that to be funny anymore. It's not acceptable. Man, I hope I have money. Let's see if I can go out. That is the dumbest thing. That's why there are a lot of people there are a lot of destitute people now. It's unfortunate. Like that mentality that is really bad, because as much as I love working out to Spotify hip hop, that like half the songs I hear, I'm like, this is like anti-AGL.
Yeah, you look cute.
Right.
Say it.
There's some time is money. That's not true, because if you ain't got money, you ain't got time, so spend it all or something. There's some rap song. I was like, that's horrible. Spend now because YOLO. That's horrible. Spend it all now because you never know. That's horrible. That's not how the successful people in life live. Why save when you can spend today? Because now it's important. YOLO. No more. No more. Ready? Big thing. Food. Isn't it ironic though? Wouldn't it be cool if you had an optimal performance and energy program that taught you how to make smart choices with eating also, that lined up with this? Because when you eat a certain way that's healthier, it's cheaper usually. Which means you won't want to spend money on going out all the time. Sometimes because you treat yourself, you deserve that. But food is the #1 killer of profit in all branches. #1 every year. I had a branch manager one time. Oh, well, I didn't make as much money as you said, Jeff. You're a liar. You said. Liar came out of this young lady's mouth. I said, really? Right? You can, Ricky's guessing. You're right. Well, whatever you said is right. Okay? And I said, okay, well, let's pull out your profit loss. Okay. Yeah, see, this, that, okay. Tell me, did you do your base pay when you're supposed to? Well, no, but did you send up the prizes when you're how many blue labels did you, next level you can appreciate this. How many lit orders did you send emergency overnight or 2-day because you forgot to do it last second? Oh, let's add those up. Oh, okay. All right, hold on. Let's take a look at your food. $3,700 on food for the summer. No, I'm sorry, $3,200 on food. Eat out every day. Right? And you might go like this, but watch this, and I'll stop here, I'll bring up Beth. Most of you know people that spend $10 a day. Not every meal, but 10 a day. That doesn't blow your mind, does it? That's a little bit more than a Chipotle. You know, roughly, right? My Chipotle meal is like 9-something. $10. No, watch. So $10 a day. When you look at $10, do you freak out? Is that crazy? No.
Time to buy $10 every day.
How many days in a week? How many weeks in a month?
4.
280. How many months in a year? 12 is 280. You're looking at, there's already $3,100. So when you guys go, man, 3,000, that's crazy. No, it's not. You guys just don't see. You guys don't see 3,000. You see 10 a day. It's still the same amount. This person ate out once a day, 1 meal a day. It wasn't like they were going to eat steak dinners. They weren't eating out of the sit-down dining restaurant. It was 1 meal every single day for the summer, and it ate up $3,200 of their income. I just showed you 1 Chipotle bowl a day eats up $3,100. 280 times 2, 4, 560. Yeah, $3,300. One $10 meal a day, every day, for a year. So they did 2 of those a day. Sorry, there's one summer. So 2 a day. They ate out twice a day. But it was just breakfast and dinner. It's fine, but that's still $3,100 for the summer. And if you're okay doing that, that's fine. But don't complain to me. Oh, and how ironic! The profit was off by 3 or 4 grand. You said I would make 3 or 4 grand more than I did. That was your choice. So keep that in mind as you eat out. Cool. Any questions? Okay. Biggest takeaways from profit model.
Go to the grocery store.
Go to the grocery store. Biggest takeaways.
Smart grocery shopping.
Yeah, this is gonna be part of our discussion later with the finances. I'm just setting it up.
I was going to say the food part. Then I started working here and I was getting fat checks. I was spending a lot of food.
Yeah. I know this is later, but when your income stream increases, your spending should increase with it. It's called hood rich. Guess that's a hip hop term. They also use another word I won't use. Right? When you make more, you spend more. That's hood rich. When you make more, you should save more. If you're already used to living like this and your money goes like this, if you just stay living like this, all that is profit. Okay? I'm just really adamant about this because we have a culture in our division of really high profiting branches, no matter what they ship are. We had a branch this summer at $27,000 in office sales, still profited. Because we're really good at tracking the expenses and making sure this is where the expenses should be. And they personally sold. Yes, sir.
The first thing that comes to mind is like when a brand new rep has like a 10K fast start or even like 8K fast when they like $1,800 the first 10 days and they come into the office like, hey, do you want me to bring you food? Hey, can you do this? Like,
yep.
And they're like ballers all of a sudden.
I'm making money. I'm making money. Unbelievable. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna stop the broadcast now.
I mean, they're watching, like they're gonna hop on your YouTube page. So
No, I'll stop it anyway. So it'll be. I'm gonna
stop and then start again. But
I'm gonna stop the YouTube page and then we're gonna go a second session with Beth. Okay.